She's not ugly, but
What?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our next episode of the Cheap Sheet Critics podcast. As always, I'm one of your hosts, a geeky writer.
I'm Chris Moran.
I'm a character called Sinister Boy.
And I'm Sprinks.
And today we delved a little bit into the anime realm and pulled up one of my films that I went to go see in theaters, Belle.
Oh, this is a theatrical release.
Yes, this was a theatrical release. It was one of the few.
I'm so surprised.
It was one of the few movies I actually managed to drag my mom to, because my mom's not into anime, so. But I thought it was
nice.
Yeah, I thought it was had an interesting enough premise in the trailers. I'm like, you know what, I kind of want to go see this. This looks interesting, and you know what, it is interesting.
That it is.
Wait, the word to use.
Yeah, interesting is my choice of words for this. For this episode, we'll be doing our usual 5-act structure. So we're with the first act being from the beginning up until Himuro. I hope I'm fucking saying her name right.
Yeah, we're probably gonna be saying a lot of names here.
I'm just gonna call her Mushroom Internet Goddess because that's what she is in this story, like literally.
Words of writer, not the rest.
Yeah, manifests. She manifests as a mushroom in you. So, it's gonna be to where she gets kicked out from the computer room at her house for being very, very obsessive. But I guess I shall open the discussion with, what did you guys think of the first act? And I'll throw this to you first, Sprinks.
Oh, I thought it was fine. I liked it. I like the part of everything in the U world is all flashy and colorful and bright, and everything in the real world is very dull, of maybe 1 to 3 colors. So I like the contradiction between the two. But after watching the movie, the first scene is not in order of timeline. That first scene takes place way later, if it does at all, really. So I thought that was interesting. Interesting to get the feel of the character Belle, which is what the movie's called, to go with that approach rather than to start on Suzu and then go in, I guess, order of timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Chronological order, I guess. Yeah,
because we jump back to Suzu as a big contrast to like what her life is like in you, the virtual reality world, and then we just come back to her life where everything is very quiet, nothing super explosive. It's just very, very I was gonna say organic sounds is what it feels like.
Yeah, all the music is really in you singing from Belle, and everything else in Suzu's life in the real world is just, as you said, organic, just background. So it's a nice balance, I guess. So I'll pass this off to Sinister.
Yeah, I think I liked this intro a little bit. It kind of, at least like when we before we're introduced to, or before we know that it's exactly like what's going on, just in the virtual world, it kind of gave me Paprika vibes a little bit. And then definitely there's some, I think Ryder he said it was a lot of like Sword Art Online kind of thing, just without a lot of the fantasy fighting kind of stuff. But yeah, I think it is a little jarring. I think they could have made the flashback transitions a little bit easier to keep track of, because you kind of get lost a little bit.
The opening of the part of the movie definitely throws you in the deep end for that sort of thing.
And I mean, that's, as long as you're keeping focus, I think it's fine. It's not a huge issue. But I think just like somebody just randomly stumbling upon this and going in, it could be a little jarring. But, I think for the most part, it's not awful. It's decent, but it probably could be, have like a, 3 months earlier or something kind of thing.
Mhm.
But you know, that aside, I think it gets you into the world, and it does set up this sort of disjoint between the you virtual world versus the real world, which is, I think, very important going forward.
I think we should also point out here, at least to you audience members who are listening, Sinister here watched the sub version, as for myself and Crimson watched the dub, and Ryder's seen both. So that might just help with how we explain some things in the differences, in case that needs to come across at all or feels off. So
If I'm
Yeah.
like X voice actor did terrible, and it's just like, no, he did a pretty good job.
Yeah, I'm not gonna have any
Two different
really,
voice actors.
that's
yeah,
true.
I'm not gonna probably have any points on voice acting in this, just because I watched a subbed version. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I do feel like the opening was very disjointed as well. I do think it does a good job of pulling you into Suzu's life, but I think that it could have been better paced because there are some jumps that are very jarring. And yeah, I'll pass this off to Crimson.
Hey.
Yeah,
My
that
first thoughts of the first act is it took me a while to get used to the art style in this because I wasn't the biggest fan. Because the U world with the 3D animation was not a fan because it was kind of like low frame rate stuff, which I know is kind of stylistic in some animation studios. I don't know if this is one of those,
Spider-Verse ish.
or like Genlock and
yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah.
So I don't know how intentional that is or just limitations. Either way, it took me a while to kind of get used to that. And the moments where they had a lot of characters on screen in the U universe, you could tell they put a lot less effort in those characters.
Yeah, rip
They're usually just
the guy who
a 2D image.
yeah, rip the guy who spawned into you as a fish.
Yeah, the whole U customization aspect doesn't really make too much sense.
I think
to
there is
me,
customization. It didn't seem that way.
I think there is
that's
definitely
the point. Is it didn't feel that way.
There is
but
definitely
then everybody's a bunch of monsters and stuff.
Yeah, there is definitely a level of customization. Like Belle goes through a bunch of dresses and different outfits and different outfits, but I don't know if people can change their physical appearances in you because that world building. I'm just gonna front load this right now. I don't think the world building is all that great.
No, it's definitely concept over anything else.
Yeah,
I think the world building of you agreed not that great. The world building of how the world is like in the real world, I thought was fine.
Yeah, no, sorry. Yeah, the world building of you is what's bad. I was fine with everyone's lives outside of you. I thought all the characters came across really well, and I thought everything like the world outside made a lot of sense.
Japan.
Yeah.
Japan happened.
Yeah, and outside of you, the real world, also took me a while to get used to because the environment was very well detailed, and then we got these not so detailed 2D animated characters on it. So it took a while for me to get used to it. I think I warmed up to it by the end, but for most of the film, I was not enjoying the look of it.
Yeah, it's a good. I think it is a good way to sort of distinguish the real world from the virtual reality, but I think
I found the real world more beautiful.
Well, yeah, I think that's sort
digital.
of yeah. I mean, I agree, but I think what they were going for was just sort of making a sort of trying to make it look computer generated or some form of it while also making it a little bit I guess brighter to contrast. But yeah, they could have done it a little bit, I think.
It's an interesting inverse where I do think the real world is better. I think the real world, not necessarily the characters, because I think the characters are intentionally plain in to kind of to compare to what they are in you. So I do think that was intentional. I'm kind of, I don't know, that the style is, I guess I'm a little more indifferent towards that. But yeah, so
I mean, yeah, it was fine. I just, yeah, it was definitely a different something to get used to a little bit, but I think it was fine.
Yeah, and in regards to, I guess, character in Act One, I did like how they handled Suzu, uh, not Susu, in the real world as well. Pretty good introduction to her.
Mhm.
And I think that's my points for Act as a whole.
The act as a whole.
I have a question, 'cause it's brought up in this first scene and then throughout the rest of the film, to all of you. What do you think is the connection or symbolism of why the dog only has 3 legs?
Yeah, I don't know if there's symbolism unless you grab something out of that.
Well, to me, being an animated movie, there's a choice as to why they made the dog only have 3 legs, other than 4, or a dog in the first place. What I got out of it is it's injured, but it's still surviving past its injury. Its injury isn't hindering it, which I think is the connection for a good chunk of these characters throughout this movie. If they all have grief in some way that they're holding on to, but the dog is still just a loving, normal dog who's still going about his day. He's not letting he's not limping around. He doesn't look injured. So I thought that was the connection I made with the dog.
I guess it's possible. In regards to like everything's on purpose animation, that's technically true, but not everything necessarily has to mean something though either. In regards to that, like
It's true.
if an animator decides to put a tree in front of the house, they chose to do that, but it doesn't really mean that anything because there's a tree in front of the house. So there could be something behind the dog. I didn't grab anything from it.
It could just be that like one of the animators had
it
like
could have
a
just been a cool
three-legged dog.
choice.
Yeah.
Or somebody on the team had a 3-legged dog, and it was just kind of like the tribute thing.
it's also, I think also it's one of the qualities, I guess, that would endear us to Belle a little more quickly, just to see that she's helping to care for this dog despite her own personal problems that she has right now.
Mm.
It's another, it's definitely a cheating writing tool, but it definitely works. Like in the way that was it The Good and the Bad, the Ugly, that Clint Eastwood's like holding a kitty cat in his opening scene.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that it's one of those things where you just instantly you have a bit more of attachment to this character because you know that they care about an animal or a pet of some kind, or that they have the capacity to care.
Darn animals giving us brighter shortcuts all the time.
Yep, I know.
Yeah. How cheap.
So that's just something I wanted to ask about.
Yeah, fair enough. I guess move on. Do we have anything? Does anyone here have anything specific they want to talk about from the opening act?
I have a small praise I'd like to point out.
Oh, small praise.
They animated in this kid with the backpack and the mask on the train. I'm glad they put that in there. So it's already showing the isolation of how far Suzu has to go to get to school, but she's alone pretty much the whole time, and they actually put in a pedestrian or another student actually there, which I think really helped.
Mm-hmm.
Where was this person?
It was on the train when they were going.
They were on the train.
They're going
I
to school.
I actually really liked it because I actually really liked the detail as well because it reminds me of what it's like living in a post-COVID world, especially for those of us who take public transportation. Just the level of differences that we have to deal with, because it's less empty.
That's something I didn't even think about. Is this movie? Well, it came out 2021, so is it trying to show that it's the COVID affected this world?
Well, it's okay. So culturally, I might be stretching on a limb here. So just from what I understand, it's a lot more common wearing like face masks and I don't know if specifically Japan, but just Asia, just because of
population density and pollution.
And they're a little bit more conscious of I think airborne stuff than a bunch of the rest of the world. So it could be a COVID thing, or it could just be a general because it's in a bunch of other stuff even before COVID.
Yeah. I think is the reason I attributed it to that specifically in this movie is just because we are now in a post-COVID world.
Yeah.
And this came out I think in the second year of the pandemic.
2021, but with animation, it's hard to tell how long the gestation period was. So
Yeah,
that's what I was going to bring up with animation. This could have been started like 5 years ago, and a lot of movies and shows got pushed back because of COVID, and sales wouldn't have been well. So this could have been ready to go earlier, for all we know.
Mm-hmm.
But
so I don't know if there's a direct comparison to the pandemic, but
yeah, I didn't make that comparison.
There's definitely there's definitely something you could glean from it with today's.
I mean, that's the thing. Like I've been watching like old, like like in the middle of the pandemic and everything, I was watching either like old movies or TV shows, and my brain would just sort of flip and be like, "They're standing too close together," kind of thing.
Yeah, it's just naturally
6 feet.
Yeah, it's just naturally how that. I guess we've been thus programmed to society now. Like we're just used to, all the COVID stuff. So
yeah.
But that's fair. One of my favorite details that I got in the very opening, and it was the when after we see, just after we leave you, we basically transition to Belle going about like her daily life, and then there's one small thing you see, like the picture frame of her mom like by itself.
Yeah.
It was very. You pretty much had a suspicion as soon as you saw it. At least that was what I had. So I kind of liked it.
Yeah, I had that vibe as well as when her dad kept asking her stuff and she said no. Like, okay, the dad has some focus here. We haven't seen a mom yet.
Mm-hmm.
So there could be something there. Depressed kid.
Yeah. Well, yeah, just like the overall vibe was, pretty.
Yeah.
Pretty dark.
I guess I will bring up the introduction at the school with a whole host of characters.
Yeah, we get introduced to a lot of people.
Yeah, we do, and they're not relevant for a while.
Yeah, and
but
I would argue
relevant.
they're still not very relevant by the end.
Oh.
That could be one later towards the end, but we get the kayak guy whose name I never caught.
Canoe.
Yeah, Kamishin is his actual name. I just call him Kayak Chad because they don't focus on him. Well enough.
That might be a difference between sub and dubbed. It was kayak and
well, what Sinister just said, it is weird because he has a canoe sign on his back, but in the dub he keeps saying kayak.
Yeah, which was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
We get him, which he's we don't get much at the start here. He's just an outcast, I guess, with the school.
I noticed he is overly animated.
Yes.
He's got his pants pulled up high.
Well, he's just moving a lot more than all these other characters.
Yeah, he's like May. Turning exaggerated.
Yeah.
Agreed. Everyone else is like a pretty normal person, except him.
Mm-hmm.
How did you guys feel about the saxophone, like little dance routine? Yeah.
I guess it was more practice than an actual like school presentation.
Yeah. I assumed that it was club day, so everyone was just advertising their clubs. So like, hey, come join the band club. They're doing a little bit of they're doing a little performance, but it's like half practice, half they're just having fun,
Mm. I was like, I've never seen somebody dance around with a saxophone before, or do like a choreographed thing with.
It must be tiring.
Yeah.
Saxophone guy.
A nice little detail connected to that sensor that I liked is that I forget her name, but the popular girl with the saxophone does
Haruka, yeah.
Haruka. She does kayak guy.
Yeah.
Showing interest, which could from the start is just he's being a big distraction, very noisy.
Yeah.
But later on, knowing the connection between the two. It's
Knowing
just a
what we
nice
know
little detail.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a nice little detail to throw in.
Yeah, like I said, I do think. Well, I guess in slight contrast to Crimson, I do think all the characters are well defined enough to know who they are. For us to understand them. I don't think they were very well fleshed out beyond that, and I don't think they needed to be. But I guess that's something we'll hash out later down the line.
I think
Well,
it's a different.
in regards to
No, you go.
in regards to that, I could be like, I would know what a character's actions could be. I know them, whether or not they were really necessary for this movie as a whole is what my point is.
Okay.
I think it's definitely. I don't want to say that most animes are like this because I don't think that's fair, but it is kind of like a common thing with most animes. They just sort of have like archetypes, or I think they're more prone to just using an archetype and not really fleshing it out past that because, most of them I think are fairly used to the idea of, oh, it's da 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 or something, I'm not saying that that's true, like with every single one, but I think it's just a thing where they give enough detail in where you can just sort of figure out, okay, well this is the going to be the character arc for this character kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't go out of their way to just be like, oh well, here's a rising action and it's fairly like there's a main character, there's a side character, and then most of the rest of the world is just sort of all on a stage.
We also see Shinobu. Well, how do you pronounce his name?
Shinobu is
Shinobu.
Yeah.
Shinobu.
Doing
Stoic.
basketball. Yeah. And Suzu
The
and her
best?
friend are just watching him, and her friend just said, I wrote this line down because I just thought it was lazy writing.
Oh.
You know him since he was a kid, right? I'm like, okay, come on, writers, you could have found something else to bring that up.
My sub was different.
Oh, what did she say?
Well, it was actually, she was like, he proposed to me once. The Susie was like, he proposed to me once, and then her friend was like, what? When was this? And she was like, when we were 6.
I think that happens.
That was brought up as well.
That happens right after.
There was never, yeah.
Yeah.
There was never we were friends, and yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't exist in the sub. I will say that as well.
Probably for a good reason. I don't know. It just seemed lazy because it seems like something she would know at that point, and she obviously did, which is why she asked it. It was just brought up for the audience to know stuff.
Yeah, there's a level of like you have to balance as a writer what you want to tell your audience quickly and what you want them to just let them pick up on. And I think in the instance for at least the English dub, it might have just been better to let the flashbacks do that because I think that would have been more than enough.
Yeah, I think they did enough to where you could tell that there was a past relationship to some degree, and it's an awkward relationship now. They didn't really need to bring up. They've known him since he was a kid because they revealed that later down the line, anyways. So.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Lazy. For that line.
Lazy.
Yes.
Okay.
For that line.
Easy.
3 years on one movie. You call that lazy?
I do have a detail to point out a little further along.
Whoa.
All right.
Okay.
During the I guess backflashes of the history of Suzu and her mom, I guess probably at the age of 6, I would suppose, or younger maybe, Suzu's sitting on her dad's lap taking the photo that writer you brought up earlier on the phone, and then it shows just a still of the image of the mom on the phone, which again, just to go along with the flashbacks of Suzu's relationship to her mom is just fitting to go along with it. But that standalone of the mom on the phone is a connection to later with the Beast's character, which I liked as a nice connection.
I would agree to that. And like I
A
said,
lot
they
of
do a lot of visual connections in this movie, which is a lot of in that way. I do appreciate it that way as well. It's just
What, you're telling me that an animated movie does a lot of visual connections? Doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense.
I know
They actually utilize their medium What?
They actually utilize their medium effectively? What is this?
How dare they?
Let's see. Do we have any problems we want to bring up for Act 1?
Yeah,
Other than just you.
More than just you.
actually,
I do. The karaoke bar.
I like
That
that.
she goes to.
Actually, I like that.
How much of that was in her head?
Oh,
Good
I
amount,
know
probably.
I know what bothers you is the juxtaposition at the end.
No, to me, it's like, why are there like 20 microphones?
Yeah.
That makes no. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's in her head. That's not real.
Um,
Well, there you go.
I've never been
But
to.
also, why would she
I've
go
never
there?
been to a karaoke bar in Japan, so I can't.
Oh, I'm like, her friend, like Hiro wasn't there, or Shinobu, or someone she kind of knows was there. She just walked in by herself. It just seemed odd.
Yeah,
that was something I wrote down. I don't know why she was there.
I know they dragged her into the room with them, but I don't know why she'd be there to begin with.
Yeah.
Could have just been like a school thing. And
Maybe.
Wasn't actually something that she wanted. I don't know. That's it. Yeah, that's a little
Definitely ambiguous.
missing link there. Yeah.
Also, she's quite a a little bit of a Will Byers fan with all those drawings she has in her room.
Oh, I need to look up who that is.
I'm like,
Oh,
that's
wait.
reference for
I get it.
Oh,
Last name.
yes.
I didn't know the last name. I got it. I know who that is.
Wait a second.
You understood the reference?
I did. I don't think I ever heard him with his full name before. Yeah.
Sorry, I got more, but Crimson, go ahead.
I guess our real first introduction to you, her first time going in there. Yeah. It's interesting that the first thing she does is just sing. I don't know if that was just time has passed and we're just seeing that now, or if that was literally the first thing she did when she entered was to sing. I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
The only setup that I can think of for this is one of the text messages she get is from Himuro, her tech friend, because she thinks it'll help her, and it might have been like that. I get the impression this is the same day that she tried to sing on the bridge and threw up. So I'm more I'm more okay that was her first thing that she tried once she appeared, because she just wanted to know if she can do that, because that's what she wants to do.
I found it was weird that she was so intrigued into joining this U world that she didn't clean herself up. She still has dry vomit on her face.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't think she would be that intrigued.
And then she also has a day in between where she first tries to join and then cleans herself up, goes to school the next day, and then comes back into like finish trying it out because she wants to go through with it.
Puts in her alter ego name.
Yeah.
Something I will touch on that I thought was also very nice. I think that is probably the most beautifully done vomit I've ever seen in a cartoon.
I haven't seen much vomit in cartoons, so I would agree.
I thought it was very just the ripples in the water in the stream, and it just looked very cool.
Oh, you mean the most beautiful puking scene you've ever seen? Not
not
necessarily the throw up itself.
No, not at all. It's just one color, but
It's just kind of a gray.
I thought you were talking about the literal vomit, because I was like, that was well animated as well when it came out of her mouth.
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah. All right. I guess I'll bring up you stuff. So, what are people doing in this virtual world? They're just floating around.
I have.
What are
does
they
feel
doing?
like a social media more than anything, because it's just buildings.
I thought it was like the Futurama when they go into like the internet. That they just kind of you just go to other like kind of like internet cafes that are supposed to be set up for websites and stuff, but they're actually like interactable or something.
See, it would make more sense to me if there were like certain rooms and people like teleport, because it's like they're clicking on something to enter. They're really just floating around this open world, just doing nothing.
Yeah,
Because they pass by her and actually look at her as she's performing. So it's not like they click on her; they're actually just coincidentally looking at her while passing by.
It kind of reminds me of Ralph Breaks the Internet.
Oh
How-
God!
I had those
Finally got-
vibes.
How
Finally
they're
got
just
there.
floating around, going to websites, but they're not doing anything.
Yeah, I think that's what they're trying to do. The problem is nothing is labeled, so it just feels like a mass of just computer, pretty much. Like, because
Yeah.
Wreck-It Ralph, at least you can see what they're doing, you know. Whereas here,
Well,
it's
if you
not.
games and stuff like. I mean, I could connect it to Ready Player One. You got like all these worlds you can go to, all these different things you can do, and then this is just float around and comment on stuff, which is to me it feels more like just a social media.
Yeah, it just feels like it does feel like a futuristic social media where we're just ingested into the world of social media. So we're just browsing comment sections and things that are popular pop up, and the algorithm is king, kind of. I guess in that regard, that's pretty much the only thing I can understand about you, because I don't think, as I said in the beginning, I don't think the world building for you is all that great.
Yeah, and
I mean, there's a lot going on.
well, we'll get to Justin later, but
Yeah, don't you mean Captain
that makes
Amazing?
yeah, it just makes sense. Okay, well, I guess I'm trying to think if there's anything else related to you in this beginning section that I had other quarrels with.
Yeah. I guess. Well, do you have any qualms, Sinister? Otherwise, I'm going to ask the obvious question.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. No, I think most of them have been said. And I think my biggest one was just that the flashbacks that were not her childhood. Her childhood flashbacks were fine. I thought that flowed fairly well. But yeah, like the months prior kind of thing was probably my biggest issue, just because it kind of made it feel like the movie had an entirely different two entirely different stories going on at once. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think most of the rest of them have been said so far. So, you having something?
I guess I will ask you now. What did you guys think of the two songs in this act? We have the Gales of Song, and then we also have Millennium Parade, which is the opening song, pretty much.
I liked the opening song.
I did too.
The second one is that just when she enters for the first time?
Gales of Song, yeah.
Well, I don't know the names of the songs.
Yeah.
But
No, I do, because I'm a nerd, but I will tell you the names. But yes, those are the two of this in this act.
Okay. That one was okay.
Just okay.
But I do like the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the intro was pretty good.
Yeah, I do listen to Millennium Parade a lot. That is in my Spotify.
There is something about the music in this movie that's off to me, which is probably why the first song, the Millennial Parade, is my favorite out of all the songs, because to me that's the only one that has a chorus. All the other songs just feel like run-on sentences.
Oh, they're mostly her like telling a story.
Yeah,
they're not.
That's what
like,
all the other songs
full-on
sound like to me.
I mean, I don't think a song necessarily needs to have a chorus.
No, it doesn't. But she also doesn't repeat her words at some parts. It's just continuation. It's just new and new until the end.
I mean, yeah, it's just.
Okay.
I think that's just a language thing more
Correct
than
me if I'm wrong here. Does Bohemian Rhapsody doesn't have a consistent chorus either?
No.
True.
Dead silence on that one.
All right.
I don't. I didn't know this was a part. I don't think this was a time to compare Belle music to Bohemian Rhapsody.
No, we're not doing
another
that.
15 minutes.
You're right.
No.
The Belle music's actually pretty good.
Good point, Ryder. Good point. I'll say that.
Yeah. Sorry.
Anyway, speaking about music, there was a version in the U of an electro swing version of her song, and I immediately just wrote down my notebook, Ryder.
Ryder.
Oh, what? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well. But I didn't write it down.
Yeah.
Ryder's a good swing music fan.
I am. I did try to actually see if there was a full version of that version of the song. There isn't, but I do. I'm pretty sure there is a fan made one that was pretty
Oh
decent.
yeah.
So there's no official version. There's no official one for all the different versions and covers that came out of the song, but there are some good fan made ones.
Sinister, I got a question for you with the sub version.
Go on.
So, a lot of the times in you, there was a lot of not well synced to the mouth
Yeah.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Is it synced in the sub pretty well, or is it also off in that?
The words, I think the words themselves are synced. I will say the sub or the subtitles are a little bit harder.
Yeah, I will say this because I've seen different versions of the sub.
Mm-hmm.
I will say the animation for the singing and at least in you is much better in the sub just because that's what the actual
Yeah,
language
the
is.
actual. Yeah.
And then I remember I think I commented for one of you guys before you all jumped into this that the lip syncing will be off for the dub.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to because it's especially hard. It's a little bit. I think it's a little bit easier with animated stuff, but it's harder with like live action stuff because you can't really actually make it what they're actually saying because their lips don't match those words. So you have to match the lips to new words, sort of sometimes. But you can only get so far before it just becomes a totally different story.
Yeah, I'm happy to count that down as definitely a nitpick for the dub. Because there are definitely studios that take the time to actually reanimate their characters for dubs, or at least the larger dubs. So like the English dub will get some reanimation, and then the less popular ones won't. But
It looks like they tried to do it. Just
I didn't get the well, and then again I don't think they did try for the English dub to at least try to sync up the lips. They're fairly close, but they're still off.
I don't know.
Oh, we'd have to watch one where
about it. Did it seem like they tried, or just put English over?
At least for the singing, it definitely felt like English just went over. I think for most of the dialogue and discussion, they actually attempted to put words. There was one part we discussed it earlier with the friend asking Suzu about Shinobi, and Suzu coughs first, which is a weird choice to add into an animation, to add in a cough when her head isn't even really shown. So I think that was just a pacing part to help with the English dub. So I think the dialogue was more for the dialogue parts of just discussion for the dub was more focused on, and the songs were just converted and translated into English to just be added on.
Yeah, I think you can get away with it more with the singing parts just because it's so stylized that you don't have to pay attention to it. Yeah.
I would agree with that. I do think they did a good job of like actually translating the songs. Because I've listened to both versions a lot. Yeah. Do we have any final thoughts, I suppose, on Act 1 before we move on?
I have one more.
Yeah, one more?
Yeah. When Suzu is running from school to Hiro's house...
Himuro, yeah.
Himuru's house. She's running through, like, I guess the town market space, and there's a humpback whale above her.
That's
Do you have a problem with the humpback whale?
No, I just think that's part of the you connection of Belle and Suzu, is because it takes what it knows of you and your personalization to create what it is in the you world. So I think because of her home and her hometown with this humpback whale she probably passes daily, it's kind of her transportation device in the you world.
Yeah.
And also, I guess it's used in the Dome concert as well.
Yeah, there's a level of where I think Himuro is also running a lot of that background stuff because it's hard. It's hard. Otherwise, it's very hard to justify a lot of it. And I get the impression that when you are zoomed in on like a Himuru's screen and she's like being a internet nerd, you can see the different
Yeah, yeah.
dresses of Belle that she's making in the background because she's quote unquote her benefactor. Like there is a line of dialogue to imply
Her
that
producer,
her producer,
Yeah,
outfit designer.
yeah,
manager.
So yeah, she's the one. I got the impression that she was doing all the like the sound stuff, the whale, and all her dresses. So
I'm sure there's a little bit to that. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's still a cool detail. I think it's more humor than necessarily you in that instance with all the whale imagery.
Yeah, you're probably right on that.
So there's a part where she's getting a whole bunch of followers, where it goes to 23 million and still climbing really fast.
Mm-hmm.
Is that through time or real time?
I'm going to get. It's probably a bit of both.
It looked like real time, and if that's the case, that's insane. And I wrote just not realistic at all.
It depends, I guess. I mean, if someone blows up on the music charts, they're gonna get a lot of quick likes really fast.
Well, it's not likes; those are followers.
That's true.
23 million followers. That's a YouTube channel putting out a video getting 23 million subscribers, and I don't know however long this was. Not very long.
That's fair.
So it was quite unrealistic how fast she grew to popularity.
Yeah, I thought it was real time because she's looking at her phone and it shows the numbers and then it goes back to her face.
I misunderstood your question. Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I misunderstood the question in saying that the time between she puts her phone down and has Himuro as a follower and the angel as a follower.
Oh, yeah, she went to bed.
Yeah. She went to bed, went to school, came back, then checked. Yeah, there was.
Okay.
Okay, we're all on the same page now. All right,
yes,
good.
we're on the same page.
All right.
Yeah. And 5 billion users. I would like to know how many people are on this Earth. Because if it's similar to our Earth, that's most of the population.
Yeah.
Well, our population's
we're almost at 8 billion now, right?
Yeah, we're almost at 8 billion. I don't remember though where we are necessarily on that.
So,
yeah, they don't really give a time period. Yeah.
I mean, the real world here is pretty reminiscent of the real world now. That doesn't necessarily mean anything.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have that technology.
That's an observation. I don't think it's bad or anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting that it could potentially be like 60% of the population is on this thing, or 70%.
Yeah, it's not. I think it's believable, and like this, or it's kind of putting forth this almost dystopian idea of like a lot of people would rather be in a virtual reality than in the real world, which I think nowadays isn't so absurd.
Yeah, I mean VR chat already exists, so I'm not, and it's getting bigger and bigger by the day. So I buy that if, for example, a worldwide pandemic hit again, and we had something like you available to everyone, I do think that it would. I do think that it would blow up to that degree.
Meta.
Yeah. I don't know. This kind of just goes back to the whole people floating thing, where there's nothing to really do in this virtual world.
Yeah.
There's literally infinite possibilities. A giant whale gets summoned for a concert, and all we really see is people floating and skyscrapers.
Yeah,
it would have been cool to see. It would have been cool to see crazy stuff in the background, or just recreational activities that people are doing, or anything really.
I would agree. Yeah, I don't. Like I said, I don't really. I have a lot of issues with the world building for you specifically. So.
Yeah, it's yeah, I think it's just something where they kind of realized they could. I think this would be definitely a longer movie if they went into that. I'm certain of that, and so they're probably like, you know what, we're setting up a good. I'm not saying they shouldn't just set up some world building here, but I think
They have a direction they want to go in, so
yeah,
they do that to the exclusion of other things, which
yeah, it's
is unfortunate. Because I do agree that it does hurt the world building of you a little bit, just because everyone seems to be floating around doing nothing, and then we have a giant dome for big concerts and things like that. But
mm,
there's not much more to life in you other than what we are shown through Suzu's eyes.
yeah, it's and I'm sure like they would have tried to bring it. Yeah, it's a hard thing where I think the concept of it could be its own, and has been its own separate movie in other instances.
Mhm.
So that's a whole other thing. But it's fine. But it definitely could be better. It doesn't have to be its own thing, but it could have been better fleshed out, I think.
All right. I guess since we're moving right along to Act 2, I will. I'll
So
let.
Act 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will. I will point out that I was a little disappointed we didn't get a song in the stadium. I was a little disappointed when I didn't get a song there.
We got a little bit.
We got the ends of one and a bunch of
Mhm.
visuals to go with it, but I think I would have liked something of the actual song itself. That's more of a nitpick, I suppose. It did bother me though, given that it was advertised as a singing movie. So
What part are we referring to?
When they're in the big dome,
when they're in the giant dome, concert dome.
the
Oh, okay. Yeah.
the Death
okay.
Star.
Yeah. Also, writer, what does Act 2 consist of?
Oh, right. Act 2 will be from when the choir squad at the school is where we meet the choir squad at the school, and they're kind of trying to get Belle to sing with them, and Belle asks
Not be a cricket.
Yeah, Belle asks the hard questions of how to be happy in life. To Belle testing the notes for her love song.
Yeah, in regards to that dome, I was also kind of disappointed there were no vocals. It was just instrumental stuff there.
It was a lot of visual.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
It was a build up. I thought the choir conversation just reminded me of the constant question and multiverse of madness of "Are you happy?"
I think this movie did better.
Oh, absolutely, it did.
Yes.
Multiverse Madness shoehorned it in.
Yeah, like that is definitely one of the themes of this film that actually has some groundwork to it. But yeah, I actually kind of liked her chatting with all the choir ladies. She does it in a very like teenager like way where she just bluntly asks them how to be happy.
Yeah.
If you think we knew how to be happy, wouldn't I be happy right now?
Yeah, I like the old lady perspective on this whole thing.
Yeah, I like how everyone else was. One of my notes for that scene is all the other choir ladies instinctively try to answer or deny, while she just is honest from the beginning. The
older lady.
Yeah, the older lady.
Yeah, that is good.
Yeah, you brought up earlier, Crimson. So this is also our introduction to Justin.
Yeah, Justin.
What a
the White Knight.
Fire.
You mean Ultraman?
I thought it was Captain Amazing.
I thought
Captain
he sucked.
Amazing? The Justice League.
He was not a character at all in this. He was just
a
douche.
There is enough of him to understand his character, but outside of that, he's just
so one-dimensional.
I agree.
He had nothing.
I agree.
He was just bad guy.
Yeah,
bad guy
with good intentions, I suppose. Trying to clean up the internet from all the bad people.
Yeah, wouldn't
That's
you
your
want
first
that?
mistake.
Well, I don't understand how revealing someone solves the issue of something. Like for the Beast, for example, revealing who the Beast is, would that take away his whole power of being able to fight everyone?
Well, it looked like it
is it-
removed his avatar.
Is it just cosmetic?
Well, it
Or
could
is-
have removed his enhanced stuff,
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Like her singing got enhanced because of you. So his fighting could have been
Okay,
fighting
well,
enhancements could have been removed.
I guess so, but even at the end when Suzu's singing, it doesn't sound bad.
It's not the same though. But
No, it's
That's
not
not
the
the
same.
same. So
Yeah, the
I
first
think his
impression
fighting
thing
probably
was
would have been
the first one.
removed.
Yeah.
As well. I think the threat of it is more like since the world hates the Beast, he would get a bunch of threatening mail and stuff, and his real life would suck.
Which it
Without
does,
being
but
revealed.
we'll get to that.
Yeah, from external forces from that point.
Something
And
I couldn't. Oh, sorry, Crimson. Go ahead.
I was going to talk more about Justin and how stupid his little wrist weapon is. Where there's some poor users out there because he was shooting lasers that would have
Yeah, I
hit the
agree.
walls.
Yeah, that was my question. What is the range on this green beam?
It hit the walls.
The green beam.
Some users totally got outed out and doxxed.
Yeah,
I can't. I also couldn't tell if that was fine. If it was fine because I couldn't quite tell if the walls were just screens, like people watching, not actual
Yeah, it's,
avatars.
World building again.
yeah, that's the world building. I assume that they were there because
If
why
you paused,
wouldn't you
there
be?
were 2D sprites there, so I think they were actual users.
Okay.
There we go.
Fair enough.
So yeah, Justin, terrible dude and stupid.
Yeah,
And I
I
don't
terrible.
understand this world because can't they just ban a user?
yeah, they can.
Well, it doesn't
Why do they
anyone's
have to
in
fight?
charge.
Why do they have to fight? There's no
I mean,
moderators
At least
in this
from it
world.
seems
It
like
doesn't make any sense.
Justin brings it up later that there's no police.
yeah,
There's
there's no actual
law.
police.
Yeah,
So
Which is
I
stupid.
don't think there's any people who ban. But then again, is Justin, because of how he got this power to be able to?
Didn't explain him. He even brings it up himself. Why is he important? Why does he have this power? And they didn't explain it. They just brought it up as something.
Well, that was enough.
It's not
yeah.
enough.
I mean,
That-
they
no, I know.
they did deliver us Justin without explaining how he exists. That is a bit of a problem. I
Yeah,
agree.
He's special, and we don't know why he's
Yeah.
special.
He's
We-
special. Don't worry. Don't ask questions about it.
all we know is that he was a Discord. At least my guess is he was a Discord moderator once upon a time and just lost out on that job when you came in. So he decided to pick up the mantle of being a U moderator to a degree. But I have no idea how he attained anything.
It makes no sense. And how does an avatar fighting people freeze them? Does that like crash their app or something? What happens?
I
don't-
It's true. I mean, who said it? The friend said he was fighting them so fast that he like froze their data.
He like
something.
well on the sub it was like why how does he cheat or something and it's like because he
Fights.
pounds them into the data or so
pounds them into
which
their
I guess
data.
which
So-
I guess would destroy their avatar.
I assume-
I don't know.
I assume the the animation that is shown of them freezing is just U's version of like a respawn animation or a despawn
Oh.
animation. But
I
I
took it a different way. I thought it was like them crashing, like their app crashed because they froze.
maybe
That's how I read it.
maybe that
But I couldn't explain why it would.
Yeah, I can't explain that either. That's it's one of the many world building problems of you.
You
There's literally nothing in you that makes sense to me. Nothing makes sense to me because they say everything's linked to their biometric information. So why do they need a photo of themselves if everything else about them is shown as well? Suzu didn't put a picture of herself in this app.
She
'cause
did.
She used her friend's face.
No,
right?
they used her own picture.
but she assumed that it was the other one.
She assumed it was Haruka, but it actually shows in the animation that it was her.
Well, then why did Haruka even bring up that it looked like her? Or not Haruka.
I guess she just
Ruka or
looks like
whatever.
Belle. I don't know. I don't know.
Absolutely doesn't. That's dumb then.
I agree.
That makes no sense. I forgot the point I was going from there on.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah.
I'll also throw something I forgot to mention previous act where Hiroka's father looked like George Lopez.
Wow. Wow. I just had to lay that one in there, huh?
I threw it in there, yeah.
Huh. I didn't catch that.
Well, I don't know how we're gonna. Yeah, how are we gonna get away from that one, huh?
I'm sure someone else is something this act. Because
Yeah.
I could keep going with other stuff.
All right. Sprinks.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of more hinted at later, but do you think it's never stated? But do you think the angel is Tomo? The angel
Is
avatar?
that the little
Yeah.
brother?
Oh yeah, that's absolutely confirmed.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
totally what it is.
that's
Okay.
that's what it is. Yeah.
That's how the little brother also heard the song because he was present during it and all that other stuff.
Okay. I'm like, that's the only avatar that the beast is like comforting.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, that's definitely him.
to go off of that, I also thought it was weird the little egg and dog like live stream thing.
Yeah.
I thought it was very odd for them to have footage of Tomo saying like he's my hero when he only has like one person who watches. I think it would just be very rare for that to be found.
That's true. I can't argue that one.
On the dubbed,
There could be a lot of rare people rooting for the beast, I guess. So it's a small pool, but even then,
I
odds of them
assume
stumbling across them
they
is
were just
pretty much zero.
yeah. I agree. It's probably low. I assume they were just combing through for that specific thing. People who were rooting for the beast.
Hashtags and names or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, hashtag! Somebody's been on the internet.
Well, something
They
that's
bring it up in this.
yeah, something to indicate that this kid or Tomo was talking about the beast to even be flagged or found.
Yeah, so it's possible, extremely unlikely, I think.
On the
'Cause
sub,
there probably
like
weren't that many people rooting. It was just kids rooting for Beast too, which was weird to me.
yeah. Well, because they feel like outsiders. He's an outsider.
I mean, all we've seen of the Beast at this point, he just beats up people for no reason.
That's what kids
It's
are
not
into,
very
right?
inspirational.
I think
mean,
the
I'm gonna
inspirational
fight on that one.
stuff comes a little more later, but I don't know. I might be misremembering the first batch of just scrolling through internet, people talking about the beast.
The beast.
Well, yeah, since a lot of the messaging stuff in the background were in a different language, they could have been saying important stuff relating to the Beast that I just couldn't read. But
Yeah, on the
from this point, all we got was he beats up a lot of people, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean over 300. We find out later.
On the dubbed, do they do they stop listening to like the dog and the egg guy? Like, do they still come across, or does it just like cut out?
They still talk a little until their scene ends.
Okay, maybe it was just they had
They pop up twice.
Okay, maybe it was just because on the subs it was like there were too many other voices going on, so I couldn't tell which was the subtitles were for anymore.
Ah,
no,
because of all the videos.
They're
so I
definitely
just assumed-
isolated.
Yeah, so I assumed that that like, oh, I don't know why they're using this format if they were only going to use them for like 20 seconds and then have them be talked over for the rest of the movie or the rest of the scene.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of quick scrolling from what I remember.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah,
that was a crazy scene.
All right, I guess I'll talk more about Justin.
Yeah, give me that
Yeah.
sweet Justin.
He's got sponsors. So I want to know what sponsors do in this world.
Cool skins.
Yeah,
it's like Fortnite crossovers.
Yeah.
Well, if you sell your soul to IOI, you get all the stuff you want. He probably has a Millennium Falcon.
I'm sure that Yeah, I'm sure that wouldn't have come across, but I kind of wish, or I'm sure they wouldn't have been able to afford it. But like some pop culture stuff would. I'm sure there's probably some pop culture stuff in the background that's like
Mm-hmm.
anime or the Japanese or something. But
Possibly connected to the avatars because there's not really much anything else shown.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
They're all bare.
skyscrapers
a
and
lot.
stuff.
Well, I mean, a lot of like the animal ones, like
There's no vehicles.
Harimo's one, the mushroom thing
Yeah.
or whatever. It looks like a Digimon sort of. So I'm sure there's like a little bit. There's a little bit in there.
There's probably nods to stuff. For
Yeah.
sure.
Also, they turned Kayak into a dog, so
Yeah.
that was weird.
How rude.
I mean, he probably
dog.
chose that.
Energy.
He's got
He
dog
does. Yeah,
energy.
he does. He
It's
gets
really
easily
energetic.
distracted. Yeah, it's true.
I mean, Peggy Sue.
Peggy
she's
Sue, I
probably
love
a
that.
reference to something.
Well, yeah, Peggy Sue got married.
It's also interesting to me of the Crimson. You brought it up earlier with the whole frame rate of how some characters move. Peggy Sue seemed very fluid to me.
Very.
Yeah, she seemed the most fluid. Yeah,
But I couldn't tell if that means like her setup is like more expensive and good, but everyone just uses earbuds. So I
see.
Ah,
couldn't tell
interesting.
if that was like a better system to run
May
you
I?
on, because Belle was very kind of choppy. So I didn't know if that was a connection at all, because not everyone in you runs the same.
It's an interesting theory. I wish they delve into that.
I wish there was something for it.
That question, yeah.
Side note,
There's two characters that never show in the real world, and real world characters that never show in the U world. So
yeah.
I mean, there's also the interaction. The U world sucks.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
Is everything in the user's head? Because to counter that, there's several times where Sue is talking in real life, but it also translates to the U world. So I don't get it.
there was
Is
something
she singing
specifically
in real life as well, or is it all in her
There's
head?
something specifically in a later act that I like to touch on that really confuses me of how it works.
There's a few. There's, like I said, I don't think use world building functions at all. I'll just keep reiterating that.
Because in after the first scene, the first whole musical number, she looks like she wakes up or gets out of bed, which made me feel like she was unconscious in the real world to be in it. But then Crimson, as you said, she's also talking while also in it, so I don't know if she can just, like a light switch, go back and forth between the U world and real life. Or
They would have to show that, but the problem is they don't.
She was asleep. She was just under her covers.
Yeah, she was. I got the impression she was just singing into her microphone under the covers.
Yeah, she had a mic and stuff.
Okay.
Which further proves that she's singing in real life as well, but she didn't always have that mic. It's so inconsistent.
Yep, I agree.
It's maddening.
Anyway, from the bad, I can move on to something good.
All right.
I
really like this whole Beauty and the Beast
symbolism. Well, it's not really symbolism.
It took me way longer to pick up on that than I probably should. It probably should have.
Yeah, I got Beauty and the Beast almost instantly from the advertising. I'm like, huh, all right, that's gonna be interesting, and that's one of the reasons. That was one of the draws for me to go see this in theaters.
It's very cool, and it did take me a little bit to understand because the AIs were just transporting her to get to the castle. It took me a while to realize they're the servants of the castle.
Yeah, like that's the symbolism for what they are supposed to be.
Yeah, they also
got a problem with the AI.
In that connection, I think one of them even say like their master or something, which makes me think: did the Beast create all the AIs?
What are the AIs? How do they make a secret castle outside the program? How does any of this work?
Well, later, as we know, the quote unquote firewall gets broke. So
it's that answers any of his question.
No,
just
because of the hacker extraordinaire.
Yeah. The Beast Kid, I don't remember his real name, but
program
he's very smart
on the planet.
He's a smart kid.
That's stupid.
Smart kid.
He's the 17-year-old who hacked Rockstar.
Whoa, bringing it all back.
Oh boy. Yeah. And then of course roses.
Yeah,
roses in there, which have digital codes on their petals, which is
odd,
kind of
well, I mean,
They're
that
not
would
there
be,
yet.
convenient.
no, but that connected me to like Free Guy, of how things behind certain coding has other stuff, and
Mhm.
There would, I mean, that's jumping ahead. I will say there would be coding individually. I don't know if it would be traceable in any way, shape, or form. But like I said, I don't know enough about computers to put any merit into a lot of the virtual reality stuff in this. But it's broken anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
One thing I do like, I guess I actually do like Peggy Sue, but this is, I'll admit, it's very subjective. I know her because she's an actual singer, or at least for the English dub, she's actually a singer. She does a lot of covers for anime songs and stuff like that. So I was kind of amused by the fact that she, in this world, that the VA of her is doing a singer.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a nice little
I liked
It's a
her
nice
by the
connection.
end.
yeah, little neat detail about her.
What screen time she in?
Yeah, like I said, I do think
We should have freak out.
yeah, I do like her small character, but yeah, more expanded on her at the end.
I do think they could have used her a little bit more. It would have been interesting.
I thought
to
they
see
were
a little...
building her up to be an antagonist.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, exactly.
She was nothing.
I was a little disappointed.
she was like the popular girl in Miss Marvel. Like kind of
That's
antagonist in
true.
the beginning, and then became friend-ish
Yeah,
later.
like Flash Thompson.
Oh God! Don't do that.
I
Don't
did
bring
just
that
do
up.
that. I did.
I don't.
Too late.
No, I don't think she's that bad. Mostly because she doesn't directly bully Belle at all.
She tries to defame her.
Yeah. Defame. Good word.
We haven't really talked about them trying to find out who the Beast is.
I don't like those scenes.
Agreed.
I don't really
but-
like those scenes at all.
The
Which scene was not.
Yeah, the only one that I of the search that I actually liked was the baseball guy.
That was interesting, yeah.
That one was an interesting one. The other two were just more annoying to me. Like, okay, the mother or the with the fake family and everything was annoying.
The baby avatar.
Yeah, the baby avatar. That was cool. That would I don't mind her having a baby avatar. That made sense to me.
Yeah,
That baby
was-
avatar was there when Suzu first entered you. When I went back and listened to the song again.
Oh.
Ah.
Continue.
Yeah.
No.
So yeah,
Continue.
I the baseball one is the only one of the search that I actually liked. Though the best thing to come out of those scenes was the way that they disguised themselves when they were talking to people. I thought that was
Yeah.
amusing. But I don't know if I
I-
like the characters that they interviewed themselves.
I guess it's a red herring in a sense, but I thought almost that the baseball guy would be revealed to be Justin because they both had that blonde, like chin strap. Like he had the beard, the blonde beard, and Justin has that blonde yellow chin strap, which
I'm
was a
glad they
connection
didn't.
I didn't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm kind of happy that they didn't do that as well. But
So I liked the baseball player.
I will say at first I did think the same thing, that he was going to be Justin, but they took him a different direction that I liked much better. Like he's actually just a wholesome dude.
Okay.
Yeah, I do like that they did like like the whole red herring thing of him, like, oh well, yeah, he's got something to hide or whatever, and then it's just like, oh, he's just a decent dude, and gonna get harassed.
Well, technically all of them are kind of red herrings in a way.
Well, yeah, they're all red herrings, but I like their version of him because it kind of it seemed like, oh, it's so obvious that he would have something to hide or something, and it's just, oh yeah, he does have something to hide, but it's not anything, it's just something he's embarrassed of more than anything else.
Did anyone else get confused when they kept referring to bruises on Beast?
Yeah,
I was so confused.
Yeah,
At the beginning, I was.
at the
The
beginning,
first time it came out, she's
absolutely
like,
confused.
"What are those bruises on his back?" I'm like, "We didn't even see his back." I didn't
Yeah,
realize those designs were supposed to be bruises. They didn't look like bruises.
Yeah, I was also confused with that my first watch through. Obviously, going through the second time, I'm more okay with it, but I will definitely mark it down just for the confusion that it caused me.
I'm glad I wasn't the only one.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was confused, but
I think the payoff for them is still good, but it's still a problem. That they're not clearly distinct bruises from the get go. I know it was anime trying to be very, very overt about its world building because anime does that a lot, and then in this film it does it to a lot to its death. The overt stuff is fine, and the part they try to skip over makes no fucking sense. Because they do talk about they do refer to the bruise on its back, and then the camera kind of zooms into the artwork design, which I was more okay with on a second viewing. But for first viewing, I was just confused as well for a bit, and then I understood once we met him again.
yeah, I do like. I mean, I don't like how they handled it story wise, but I do like that. I like how the bruises look.
Mm-hmm.
Visually, they look good.
Oh yeah,
Visually they
as
look pretty
as a
cool.
design.
As a design, I like the design. It's confusing. It's too confusing, but I like the design.
I agree. I like the design. Knowing what they are going in a second time, it is better, but it's still something that they should have elaborated just a bit more on because that's something that you could fix with the line of dialogue.
Oh yeah.
No
argument here. Yeah.
Yeah. Do we have anything else for Act 2 before we move on?
I do not.
All right, I'll say my last thing then.
Go on.
I could not buy how quickly she jumped on board the Beast train.
It was a little strange.
She was immediately interested in him at the place at the concert.
The concert hall.
And there was nothing to grab from in that because once again we were just seeing him as a bad guy there. It's like seeing a school bully just beating up a bunch of nerds in class and be like, you know what? I'm sure there's some good intentions behind that guy. I'm like, come on, he's a bad guy right now. There's nothing here except the bruises, air quotes, on his back. That's all they really had.
The only thing that we really have going for her in that scene in particular is that he's not beating up other users; he's just beating up the justices.
Yeah, I guess that is a good.
That is the only benefit that we have in that scene is he's not going around beating everyone else up. Like he avoids her and specifically goes for the justices. But I agree that there should have been more groundwork here because I'm fine with her being curious afterwards, which leads to the whole search. But I still think I would have liked more as a foundation as to, I guess, why she would instantly be, I guess, on his
during
side.
The concert, she was also being explained to of his backstory of him disrupting.
But she was still like,
and being pretty much a bad guy. So it wasn't just what she saw; it was also what she heard. So there wasn't really anything there for me.
What do you?
That was my last point this act.
Okay. I guess not to stand on this act a little longer. I guess my question for you next would be: Is it the general intrigue not enough for you in this instance? You needed something that would.
I don't know why she'd be intrigued. Is my problem.
Yeah.
We just see him as a bad guy. I don't see a bad guy and be like, I want to follow him and find out why he's a bad guy.
Okay.
It's not a normal person thing.
That's fair. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I think they should have done something where maybe one of the guards misses and almost hits an audience member and he deflects it to avoid the audience member getting hit by the guard or something.
Yeah.
To show there's some good to him. But we get none of that here. He's just fighting the quote-unquote good guys, the police people, the security.
Police people.
There just weren't any redeeming qualities of him in the concert scene for her to grasp onto.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and I will agree with him on that. That there really wasn't.
Yeah, there's really not much.
There could have been, but there wasn't. So yeah,
Mhm.
it's a good point.
I guess we'll move on to Act 3, where it is social life as a mobile strategy game, down
I like
to
that.
the Beast Castle being burned down. And yes, I do like that one too, Sinister. I had a smirk on my face when they did it. I'm like, all right, that's interesting. I've never seen that before.
I thought it was a good way to represent it.
It is kind of how
school
it goes.
relationships were so fragile.
Yeah.
Offspring, sorry.
Sprinks, that was your cue, buddy.
What?
You were about to say something.
Oh, I thought I finished. I just agreed. I went, yeah, that it is kind of like that in
I
high
guess you
school,
cut
the
out.
whole strategy thing. I finished. Oops. Opportunity. Kayak guy goes by, which is quite a good chunk of time from his first scene to his next one. So I thought that was interesting. He wasn't just a one-off character. They keep showing him,
Yeah. Well,
and showing him again.
they show all the, I want to put this in quotes, the main side cast very frequently through the movie, so we don't forget them, which helps in their presence at the end, even if they don't necessarily contribute much. But yeah, I can agree with that. I like that Kayak guy shows up here.
You gotta like Kayak guy.
I mean, I do have a name. I have a
I
name.
liked 2 jokes associated with him.
Yeah, what are the 2 jokes?
Well, they're both the same joke.
Okay, go.
Well, if you're cheering me on, does that mean you like me?
Is that a joke?
Well,
It was meant to be funny, you know.
to me,
Alright.
as an animation joke, because Suzu is a frozen still image.
Still was hilarious.
That was the funny part to
That
me.
was the best part of this movie. I loved that. That was hilarious.
She just stared at him deadpanned. That was, yeah, I agree. It was a nice bit of,
when a second longer. It would have been great.
it was no, I agree. I think that was because the movie's very heavy, in a lot of on the emotion end of things a lot.
Yeah.
So this felt like a nice little bit of real. It felt like real levity, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I agree. That's one of my. I love Kayak guy. He's so great. He's the break that we need.
Man, and he's just great at identifying buildings, but I'm sure we'll get to that.
Yeah, if it comes to identifying building, he is a genius.
Yeah, well, a specific building anyway.
Yeah.
So stupid.
Let's see what else happened.
Sinister, you probably got something early on here. You probably got something to say, right?
Set me up here. What do you want me to say?
Anything really.
Oh, I thought it was like a specific thing, and I was like, I don't think anything really like jumped out to me specifically. I like his castle. I like the Beast Castle. Like she goes back to twice without getting followed at all.
Yeah. I like
Nothing
that.
else.
She gets free passage because of the brother.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah, I assume I just assume when you leave, you spawn back in where you left. That's the only.
Well, when she goes back. Yeah.
Oh, I guess
I
this
think
is something.
the AI just likes her or knows of her. So
Yeah. Well, we don't know if it's an AI. Could be a real person.
Hey,
No, I was gonna say the the rest where they go to get food with Himero, and they bring out her secret. She has a crush on
crush on the old teacher.
the gray mustache look, like 50-year-old man.
It's definitely anime trope, so I smirked. But
That's a trope.
Yes.
How often does that come up?
Senpai.
It's not as often as I make it out to be, but it's enough to be a trope. And obviously the age gap is not as overt as this one
Usually,
is.
usually not.
Usually the teacher is at least a looker.
Oh, so
Yeah.
just crushing on the teacher in this trope, not an old guy.
Writer, you know, just
Yeah.
some people,
No,
this teacher is a looker, okay?
He's a silver fox.
I don't judge. Just
Meow. Okay?
Mr. Jefferson?
Oh, no. Careful. Just
Hey,
because
that's a
Suzu has the same hair
fun-loving-
does
Generous photography teacher. I don't know what you're talking about.
I like all the more Beauty and the Beast symbolism that they keep showing.
Oh yeah.
yeah, this one they dive full into that, and I'll
Yeah. Finally go all the way in.
The image in the West Wing, rather than of the Beast when he's not a Beast, Torn is of the Beast's mom, which is the connection I made of the which later is found to be on his phone, but it's the connection of Suzu's mom being a photo as well, but one is shattered and one isn't.
yeah, I would agree with that. Again, more world building questions crop up. Did he design this space? Are we capable of doing that in you?
It's a weird thing.
Yeah.
He seems to have so much more understanding of how this world works than anyone else. Being able to,
Yeah, like I know that they're at least somewhat tech savvy because the Tomo can grow roses to a degree, or like he created them for the castle. So there is a level of believability where they do have the ability to alter their space somewhat. It's just I'm left once again with more questions than answers.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the same thing with like the whale, right?
Yeah.
Well, like, is that just a random event that occurs? Do you have to schedule an event for the whale to show up for your concert? Do you make the whale for your concert?
Yeah, like I said,
If you make the whale for the concert, why is it surprising at the end when it shows up?
Like I assume that's Haruka. I'm sorry, Haruka. Himuro. Like I literally assume everything that has to do with like the whales and Belle. I assume that's Himuro, like just working in the background, and we just don't see it because that to me is more amusing, and it would make sense.
A user?
No,
someone's avatar.
Not a user.
No, absolutely not.
No.
Though I know it could be. That's the sad thing, but we genuinely don't know. But I'm leaning towards he's not.
We have no proof.
We have no proof either way, but we do know that people could spawn into this world as fish.
It could be the old teacher.
That would be something.
That would be funny.
Literally,
this whole scene pretty much is a almost shot for shot of Beauty and the Beast retelling.
Yeah.
I don't
think it was that close.
Close because Belle gets scared, runs off. Gaston isn't in the woods normally, which is the Justin in this, but is attacked by a pack of wolves where Beast comes to save her and takes her back to the castle.
Yeah, it's pretty close in story beats. I'll give it that to Beauty and the Beast. I also noticed that as well.
Something I found odd, however, which I guess is just another U world problem, or maybe it's not, I don't know, is earlier on Suzu trips, hits her head, and it shows that Belle is like injured
Has a
slightly.
bruise. Yeah.
As the bruise between the connection. When she's talking to Beast, Beast starts getting bruises. Is Beast getting verbally attacked from, or because it's verbal, attacked by his dad while he's in the U world?
That's what I had to take away from it after watching.
I don't think that was a verbal attack. I thought that was a physical one.
That would be weird that he was still logged in though. Yeah, we don't. That's the problem. We don't have enough
physical or not there, but I think there was abuse going live at that moment.
I mean, it was just
because otherwise it wouldn't really make sense.
What was happening?
Again, that's an issue with the. We don't really understand enough about the U world to.
They don't give us enough, and they don't. Yeah, they don't. They don't give us enough, and what they give us doesn't make sense.
Well, okay. Dark path here.
Okay.
So since you can customize your characters and they don't even have to be humanoid, what if someone like cuts off your finger while you play? Does your avatar lose a finger? Because you get your bruises.
That's a possibility. Oh god, that could be like a creepy scene from like Looper. You know,
Yeah.
himself was being tortured, like something like that.
So, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's that's one point where the whole
I
world
will
building
not
thing.
tell lies. Ah,
What the-
Harry Potter. For any of you
Oh.
who didn't understand that one.
I got it.
Oh. Oh, you Harry Potter fans are getting a good snack in this one, huh? Getting a little treat.
Doing something.
Now for this song, it's a fine song. It's okay.
Probably
Beauty
my
and the Beast
favorite.
theme is far better. Far better dance number.
You're gonna say that in every single part, huh?
Only the parts that really like are side by side of
Emulating.
Beauty and the Beast. Yeah.
Yeah. I do like the song. Though of all the music that's in this, all her songs in the movie, I do think this is the weakest one.
Yeah.
So is that a sentiment we all share out of curiosity?
Yeah.
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 It's like I said, it's not bad. It just happens to be the worst one. of
Are we
the
talking
bunch.
about her love song or her?
Yeah, her love song.
Yeah.
I found
for the
her.
emphasis they put on it. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually prefer her notes where she's just kind of humming to herself while she's walking along. I thought that was more meaningful to me than what we got.
I agree.
Agreed.
Let's see.
The whole love bit at the castle. Did they actually fly? Did they actually go up?
If you have to ask, you don't wanna know.
we know they can fly.
They can.
So
yeah, I'm gonna say yeah. Sure.
Oh.
I mean,
It's
everyone.
a computer. It'd be weird if it was the one. Yeah, it would be weird if that was like the one point in time where it was going against the U mainframe.
Do you think? I almost wrote it down, but I decided not to. But I guess I'll bring it up anyways. Do you think it's in Susu's character to just hug a stranger, or do you think she's too socially awkward to do that?
Yes.
I'm gonna go with yes, specifically because we have less barriers when we're on the internet.
I'm gonna go with a yes because of her history of Shinobu being protective of her, and how she still thinks he's being protective of her. So she's trying to be more out there that she can protect herself because she's trying to push him away. So I think that in her mind is being able to protect others, or just having protection on her mind of protecting herself. So this might be translated to Beast because he needs someone to look over or help him out. So I think that's where she might be thinking. So I think it was totally fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't like first instance.
Yeah.
She's been trying to connect
Yeah.
with him.
I mean, yeah, I think the whole kind of I don't want to say the whole message, but a big message of this movie is just sort of kind of growing beyond your, I guess, your perceived limitations of, yourself in a way. Yeah.
And getting past grief and
Yeah. So I think it's fine that she would, and especially with like in an online world, you're more prone to be different than who you are in like real life. So I think it's fine.
Yeah. I guess I got a question for all of you. What did we think of Suzu agreeing to help Haruka because she thinks that Haruka wants to get to know Shinobu, like she thinks Haruka has crushing on him. So what do we think of that? Out of curiosity. If you have thoughts on it, otherwise I'll just move right along.
I mean,
Talk about
I
the
think
saxophone girl.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's okay because the saxophone went to Suzu about it to kind of build up a little bit of a relationship or a little more of a friendship. So I think that was totally fine. To cover the whole admitting the crush thing, that was way too lengthy. That was, to me, that was just getting awkward.
What?
While they're sitting at the porch.
No, he means at the train station.
He makes his Kayak
Oh,
makes his joke.
okay. That.
Then he runs out and comes in and then runs out again, and they talk. I'm like, that's too lengthy.
I disagree.
Too
I actually
lengthy.
like that. It's very, very awkward, which I thought was the point, considering they're teenagers.
The awkwardness of what was being shown fine, but the time of him gone and you just seen her standing there with her hands over her face, or her hands over her face the whole time, that was weird. I feel like she maybe should have like moved back, maybe like fearful, do it later, or step forward, try to initiate something a little more, and it just was weird to me.
Oh, I could see how it could have been considered long. I kind of in the boat with Ryder where I liked it because it was one of the two moments where I like Kayak Guy, and her being frozen there, like totally bashful and ashamed and scared, just standing there. I kind of liked it. I think it added it. If she moved forward, like she tried to make an effort or backed away because she was nervous, I think it would have detracted from the humor a little bit.
Yeah, the point the point of the scene outside of for giving Kayak some character and Haruka some character is just like it's levity because it's a very heavy
break
story.
It up, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you didn't have it, it would be a pretty hard movie to just sit down and just go through the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. So I think it's some well-timed levity, but fair enough.
I can see the point though.
Yeah.
Still a better love story than Twilight.
Classic.
If people still say that as a joke, I don't know if it's an age joke.
I don't know.
Nah,
At this point,
It's a joke, but people I think still understand it.
yeah.
It's an older code,
There's some
sir, but
niche
it still
people
checks
there.
out.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, still fits.
I have a weird thing to add because it's not talked about again. During the whole interrogation scene of Justin and Belle, why is Justin wearing that outfit?
Because he's cool.
Why is he in like
He's stupid.
a
Like
suit?
Castlevania.
I have no
looking
fucking
suit.
clue.
Because
There's nothing good about Justin.
I don't understand.
Not
because
even a sense of
earlier,
fashion.
Belle gets taken by 3 of the members of the so-called Justice League, whatever, and they're all in their white uniforms.
Copyright
I don't
non-intended.
understand why Justin isn't.
Because he's the cool leader. He gets
Yeah.
to dress up however he wants. He could be in a dress. Assert dominance over them.
I would have been if it was in a dress.
That'd be funny.
Missed opportunity, writers.
Yeah.
I just don't. I don't even like Justin's like body design. His face is fine, but his anatomical body looks weird. It looks really off to me. I mean, I
So
guess
are you
Belle in a
saying
way,
you
too,
dislike
'cause
him?
She's got very lanky arms and a long neck as well.
Mhm.
Just interesting style, I guess.
Okay, well now you're just
for
making
you.
fun of him. You're not even critiquing anymore. Now you're just pointing out all the
I
flaws.
mean, it's a critique and making fun of him.
I know.
I can double dip.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
You plan to be a double dipper here?
I'm double dipping. Now
So
dive
you're
into this
putting your
interrogation
whole
scene
mouth in
somewhere.
a dip.
I'm just gonna
Okay.
spit in the dip.
Whoa, whoa.
Yeah, this interrogation scene could have been really good. This could have been a great moment to tear down Susu, and none of it working and bouncing off of her, and him being intimidated, kind of like how the dad was later at the end of the climax.
Yeah.
Kind of the same thing with Justin here, where he realizes he has no power over her, essentially.
Yeah.
But I
I
got nothing
guess-
out of the scene, really, which is
Out of
unfortunate.
what we've seen of Justin so far, I guess a good question is, because we never see his real life look, how old do you think Justin is?
Probably like
He could be
15.
3 for all we know.
Oh,
Could
okay.
be
So
a girl. Who
okay.
knows? Because they established that the avatars could be
True.
anybody.
Yeah.
that's what I was still thinking, just age.
His attitude seems like spiteful teenager. That's what I got out of it.
Yeah, he does have a little bit of that in there.
Okay.
I can't see him being over 30 or anything.
Yeah, because he has these weird ideals that you would only pretty much have if you were like a young younger person kind of thing. Ideals in the way of like that could be easily tainted with the idea of like, oh well, I'm the person that is in control of this now or something.
Did you have any theories on his age?
I thought I agreed with you, Crimson, that he could have been in his like just spiteful teen. Whether that's between 14 to 18 range.
All right.
Because he thinks he has this.
All right.
He keeps, because it's brought up like he just wants control, so he's just using this power that he has as like a fear tactic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is some of the worst people.
Oh
yeah.
Shoot, I didn't bring it up earlier.
Whoa.
When they first found Belle leaving the castle, what are the odds?
Yeah, it's a little convenient. Though I mean, we know they're searching the area,
digital
but
world.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense.
How
big do you
think this world is?
We don't even know
5 billion users.
We don't even know if the world.
Avatars.
We don't even know if the world is digitally infinite. But it's still a problem in a way that they thought to search over here. We have no reason for them to be wanting to search over here.
I assumed that it was because they were tracking her, asking a bunch of questions or something. That's what I got.
We didn't see that though.
Well,
I know we didn't see it. But
there is a scene of them searching the area as she's going into the castle when she's like hooded up in a cloak. So there is a scene of them flying around there, like they're searching the area. But I don't know why they're searching the area.
They don't even know the connection to the angel, so it's not like they were following the angel around.
Yeah.
I don't think it's just this one squad, because there's the whole Justice League look of like the two cat people and the dog, and their outfits are different. And then you have kind of just the guard goons that the Beast was fighting at the beginning of the Death Star concert. So I think there's multiple groupings of these just goons flying around.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think there's just one, and it's like, oh, weird that they would be here. I think there's like maybe like 5 or 6 all around the U. All around. So
even in that case, we come across the ones we know. It doesn't really change the odds, really.
You're talking about when they found Belle leaving the castle? But did we actually know? I mean, Justin was there, but
Justin was the only one they recognized. I don't recognize.
Yeah,
I assume the rest of the words are goons.
They recognize Belle because it's Belle, but
Belle.
Just the scope of this world.
Very unclear.
It's a small world.
We've got 5 billion users. There's no way they're going to fit in what we've seen of you. So it'd have to be pretty big. Especially if you get supposedly some cool stuff in a virtual world, which we never really get to see except the concerts. It would kind of be bigger.
Mm-hmm. We also get in this act. We also get a not to derail this. Sorry.
No, go on. Done with it.
We also get to the conclusion on all the investigation stuff, or like all the previous red herrings in this act. So we get to see Baseball Guy being just a wholesome dude, and we get to see the fallout of the artist, and then Babyface comes back and gets in an argument with Mushroom Humoro.
Yeah.
How did you feel about the artist guy getting outed there?
Nothing.
I didn't feel anything. I just shrugged.
Look, the baseball, the artist, all these other connections of who the Beast could be, they were really just, I don't need the story of what was going on with like the artist, of like his artwork and his past girlfriend and all that. It was not really needed. It was just to show that they're not the Beast. So to me, it was like 50-50. Like, I understand why it's in there and it's fine that it's in there, but to give them more lore or story or whatever, I don't think was needed.
I'm inclined to agree. It has its purpose, but it didn't really feel. I didn't have any fulfillment from it. It didn't really add anything to how I feel about the movie.
To me, the only one that felt complete was the baseball guy.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Baseball of the group, Baseball Guy was
baseball dude. Yeah,
best character.
Only one unscathed by the end of this movie, roughly.
Yeah. You mean like he also has trauma and shit, so
Yeah. Well, I mean, like unscathed is in like his character makes sense from introduction to the ending.
Yeah, fair enough.
Oh, I guess this kind of brings up an issue as well. Where, I guess it's technically later, but I'll bring it up now since we're talking about baseball guy.
Go on.
Susu eliminates him as a candidate because his scars don't show up in his avatar, and that doesn't make sense because your avatar can be whatever the heck you want it to be.
Well, who's the baseball's avatar?
Her theory was he could still be the beast at this point when she's trying to figure everything out towards the end. She goes through all the old suspects again, eliminating each one of them once more. No, no,
Mm-hmm.
tiny thing.
Tiny thing, big problem.
All right.
No.
Yeah. Do we have any do we have anything left to praise on the sack? Because we're kind of harping on it, so I'm curious if you guys have anything more to praise.
I don't know if it was just my eyes kind of playing trick. I couldn't tell if it was purposeful or maybe I'm just incorrect. Suzu's already a pale character, like skin tone, and when Kayak and I forget her name, but the other girl admit like their crushes on each other and start talking about Belle, they're pretty red of like embarrassment.
Mm-hmm.
And when they're talking about Belle and Suzu starts backing up, I couldn't tell if she was getting paler.
She was already pretty pale.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because if she was getting paler because she's also embarrassed or like, being there.
Nervous.
Yeah.
Being revealed.
So I didn't know if she was to look more flushed while she was walking away. Which in case if it was, I like that detail. But it also could have just been that she's already pale and the other two are pretty red. So she looks more pale already. I don't know.
I do think she gets a little more pale. Not much, but it's a very, very
subtle
shade.
So I don't know if it's the lighting usage of because it's open on both sides of the center train area. So I don't know if it was the outside lighting making her look more pale. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Either case.
I have a random compliment from Act 1 I forgot to.
Okay. Well, let's put it in here.
I like that they didn't do the trope of her friend not knowing and finding out at the end. She knew right from the get-go.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of an open secret for a lot of people around Belle, I guess. Like, Shinobu figures it out, or at least knows. And then we know the choir moms all know because they've heard her sing before, presumably.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Speaking about Shinobu, I guess, we're talking about good a little bit. Shinobu's a Nightcrawler. Freaking
he's a weird character.
He is a very weird character.
I don't think I like him.
I don't understand how he just keeps popping up.
I spent this whole movie being like, do I like you? Do I care about you? I'm confused by you. And by the end, I think I settled on I don't like him.
Shinobu's characterization is very subtle. I'll give it that. He has reason to show up here because he's looking for Canoe Guy. He's supposed to meet him at the train station. So
I mean, that's a fine purpose, but
and then the other time he's also he's waiting for Canoe Guy again. So he's kind of there with his friend all the time. That's what he's not just popping up out of nowhere. So,
well, when they talk about him in his introduction playing basketball, it makes it sound like they haven't talked in a long time. And through this movie, we see them interact quite a bit. It is mostly through outside forces, like he's meeting his friend and stuff, but it's just interesting that they don't talk for presumably a while, and now it's just happening all the time.
Well, that's the thing. I do think they interact a lot before the movie starts. Granted, I can't really the overt writing with the whole line of he proposed to me shit was shit, or with like with stuff that her friend clearly would know.
Yeah.
But I got the impression that he does check up on her a lot because he asks after her dad, knowing that their relationship isn't the best in the conversation at school. So I get the impression they do interact a lot, but they're usually just short. And he's always asking how she is and how her dad is doing.
Yeah, I could agree with that. It's probably not like they don't probably like, text or chat for like hours on end, like he probably does this whole like checking in on her quite frequently. But
Yeah.
obviously with the outside elements of him being very favored upon by a lot of the girls and stuff, she feels more awkward about it than she would normally.
Well, I didn't feel that.
Well, you know what? We don't have to feel the same things.
That's true.
Yeah.
Totally true.
I didn't catch it earlier with the castle, but when they're talking about the castle's under siege or whatever, looking at it again, there's a giant like skewered octopus on the end of the castle, which it was just interesting add-on.
Yep, I remember that is kind of funny. I guess one more thing, a point of praise for me before we move along. I actually am very happy that I actually liked the bonding experience between Haruka and Suzu, the popular girl, and her. It dared into being like, I actually thought it was going to be very trope filled and awkward, but it actually turned out to just be a nice, genuine talk between the two of them as they got to know each other a little bit better, which I think helps a lot.
Yeah, I think they handled it fairly well. For all that it was supposed to be, yeah.
Yeah. I will point out, I guess one more nitpick I have. Suzu disappears like Batman once Shinobu figures out that it points out that he knows she's Belle.
Yeah.
Little minor thing. I'm amused. It's a nitpick, not a huge issue, but still, an
observation.
An observation. And with that, do we have any final thoughts on this act?
I do, regarding the castle burning.
That is the next act, but
yes. Yeah.
No, then I guess that's it.
I have a little bit right before the castle burning.
Go Springs, do it.
Which I brought up earlier of just a weird connection to you. Suzu uses you while running.
Yep.
To log herself in.
Yep. I agree.
Like we talked about, we don't really know how they interact.
We don't know how world building for you works. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
Nothing about world building for you makes sense.
It's not shown what it looks like when she comes out of it, but we know where she goes next. And I don't know if she's connected to it when she arrives at her friends.
I think that was on the earpiece, was it?
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
I got the impression that it was.
Yeah.
All right, now we can move on to castle burning.
Now we can go, yeah.
All right. Well, what's the new act?
It's essentially castle burning to beast identity reveal.
All right, castle burning. So this is another you problem, I think. So can just players grief and burn down other people's assets that they create? Could someone just go around and kill the whale while she's performing a concert?
I mean,
I would assume so. I would assume so.
Yeah.
And this internet community is just kind and wholesome. Some fucking how.
Yeah, 5 billion people can't be wrong.
And I keep viewing this as like a computer thing where why don't they just delete his assets or patch him out? Or there's so many things. Why do they have to burn his creation? Why can't they just delete it?
Because burning is permanent.
Because Crimson, it never shows or tells you who created you, and they're working behind it. They just threw it out in the world and don't do anything with it.
I mean,
that's kind of the impression that we have, don't we? About the creators.
Stuff.
Yeah, they don't go in and change anything. There's no like update. They're not like, oh, have you checked you? They added this thing. No, not at all.
That's even further proof to why the heck isn't this place burning to the ground? Look at GTA.
I mean, yeah.
Man's got a point.
If GTA, if the
I mean,
social
even Free Guy, it would be like Free Guy. There's tanks in the streets, everything's blowing up. It wouldn't be this whole lovey-dovey world where nothing's happening except people watching concerts.
People want to be the protagonists of the story. No one wants to play an NPC.
Damn.
Yeah.
Dropping straight knowledge there.
Yeah. Makes no fence.
Even your
Makes no
fences.
sense.
Stop putting up fences. Come on, man. Just let it live.
Also, another time thing that's weird to me. Shinobi was across the street,
Yes.
and Belle was running.
Yep,
Mhm.
I agree.
By the time Shinobi gets to the train station, he sees the footage of the time between
True.
that of him walking across the street to get to Kayak and the girl
yeah,
and showing how much Suzu did does not add up.
I do have in capital letters in my notes asking what is time.
What is it?
I didn't catch that. That's pretty big.
Effects
Yeah.
in this movie.
Time
Yeah,
Time is
so-
fine.
So do you? Okay, so I guess my question for you guys: do you think that would be no? Actually, do you think that's the plot being disjointed or the world building being disjointed? Because I think that's the plot in that case.
I think it's the plot.
Because
It could have been a scene of them walking, or like Kayak and Shinobu walking away together just down some sidewalk and then gotten the news.
yeah,
It's the fact that it was in the same location to show how much he's traveled is the problem.
yeah, I
Right.
can agree because it's shown only to be a couple blocks away.
Because if you was treated, and this kind of several things like contradict this point, but if it was
What
treated
the
like
world
a
building
dream,
for you is not
where-
consistent.
yeah,
What?
dreams happen really quick in a short amount of time, right? They're not real
Yeah.
time.
Mm-hmm.
So if you was like that, then that would add up. But we've established that that's not how it works.
No, it's real time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reference.
So
That would be my only workaround if they didn't establish that that's not how it works. Unfortunately,
Well, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna
I
not watch the
pointed
movie?
out as a flaw. And move on to
There
the
you
next
go. There you go. That's the American way.
When was it Suzu's looking at the screen as they're trying to find out who the beast is because they're running out of time, and all that kind of flashback stuff is popping up of like who it could be. I wrote in my notes, Crimson loves this stuff. Crimson, you pointed out in Practical Magic that back. If you haven't listened to Practical Magic, please go do so. It's very good.
Yeah, it's really good.
But in any case, you said you're a sucker a bit for that backflash stuff.
I assume the backflash
For,
stuff.
emotional flashbacks.
Yeah, I assumed the stuff in the last song would have been.
That's where it hit me. Yeah.
All right.
Not her and the suspects, but her reminiscing about the beast and the final song. That's what I'm a sucker for.
Okay, well,
So you were right. It was in this movie. Just wrong.
Yeah.
They did tug on that.
Yeah.
there is a little thing I wrote down as a reference. When Suzu runs out of the room to go find the beast, do you guys know what falls over?
The three-legged dog.
No, not the three-legged dog, sister.
I do not know.
Shouldn't be laughing at that.
Yeah, you shouldn't. It's not funny.
A broom falls over, and we all know what happens when a broom falls over.
Company.
Someone's coming.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah, it's come full circle.
Let's see.
They kind of rushed. I feel like the ending is kind of, or like the last two acts, it's sort of like rushing to the end a little bit. We still got like 20, 30 minutes left.
I think the stuff you was rushed. I think the whole last act world was fine.
Okay.
At least to me.
Yeah, I think the part of it that made it really feel disjointed was Shinobu and running into Haruka and Kayak Chad in the train station.
Right.
But
I like
that part was that part to me was the most disjointed part. Once everything started going, it felt okay. I didn't feel like I was being rushed at that point. Everything that felt sequential, even if world building was still an issue.
I'm trying to
Fine to
think of the
me.
pacing. I feel like just the last act was pretty smooth.
Yeah,
I mean, real act, not like art, art
yeah.
fictional made up.
yeah.
Fictional
No, no,
made
no,
up.
no, no, fictional shit. Yeah.
I felt like that was pretty well paced.
Something weird, and I guess it's just real easy. You could just say like they didn't show it, and they could just mute it. It's easy as that. But it's weird for a streaming service to be allowed to have your viewers use their voice.
Uh,
What?
in regards to
When
what?
when Suzu clicks on join like a call for the Beast and Tomu's call, she can talk to them,
Yeah,
and then like 3 random people jump in to talk about it. But having your
that makes no sense.
viewers speak to you through a streaming thing, that's weird. I guess
If you
it,
have
I,
1,000 viewers and you have
Yeah,
1,000 people talking.
I
yeah,
assumed
screaming at you or
I
whatever.
assumed it was like a Skype call.
Why
That's-
would they be streaming a Stripe?
I have
Stripe
no
would-
idea, but the reason that the only reason I'm going in that direction is because it looked like more like a Skype call than it did, or like a video chat call than it did like a stream of or something.
does. But then that would also mean when Tomu was doing the footage beforehand, the egg and the dog coverage news or whatever were taking Skype calls or footage of Skype calls.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said,
little
it's
tricky
definitely
there.
it's definitely odd.
Whatever way you shape it, it's not
Yeah.
gonna work.
So as I said, I think it would be fine
What?
if it's a streaming service.
The world
and
building of
you
this
can
movie
just
is not consistent. Oh no.
and you can just have the choice of muting.
Mhm.
I think it's because they're so low, single digits, as it said, that they don't ever think someone's gonna pop in or give too much care. So it's open. I think if it was a problem, they'd fix it.
Mhm.
It would be a problem though.
So
That's the thing. It would be an actual problem.
I think it's just the fact that it's not shown from anyone else. It's not like the art guy. You don't have a bunch of people talking over him. That's like a news article thing. And you don't have the baseball guy with a bunch of people talking over him. They're just kind of like separate articles, like who's the beast kind of talk. So it's never really shown of like a ton of people talking over a video.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But it shows the possibility that it could occur.
Yeah. I guess that's enough.
I guess since we're here, what do you guys
here.
think of the Beast's identity?
It did.
Like the reveal. I
It did
suppose.
catch me up because I didn't think who it was gonna be. I guess. Yeah. It surprised me. I guess.
I like the fact that it's a character we haven't seen or don't know.
Is that a?
Well, we have
well,
we
yeah.
do see them, but
Past.
yeah,
But they're not. Yeah.
you
they're
haven't
not
you don't
considered
you haven't
part of
met
it.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, we've seen Tomo and his little talk of like the Beast is his hero, and then the story of like the dad saying like we're moving on, as like news coverage. So we've seen him in the background, but a character we don't know very well.
Mhm.
I like that. It's not like Shinobu. It's not an
My-
alternate form of someone else. It's
I
not.
kept thinking it was gonna be Shinobu.
Yeah, my biggest fear going into this movie, once I was introduced to Shinobu, was the Beast was going to be him.
Yeah, I was
I
afraid
thought
it was gonna be someone she knew.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be Shinobu, which at that point I think but it happens so fast. Like when she sees him and she connects with him so fast that if it had been like a real actual person that she knew, that would have felt like almost impossible.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
It's also
in
a little
regards-
coincidence that the Beast is in Japan.
I guess so. Yeah, it could have been. Anyway.
That's just convenient.
In regards to the reveal, I did in the back of my head notice the kid popping up a lot. I didn't think he was going to be like relevant to
Yeah.
the plot or anything, but I did observe he was popping up several times. And I liked the reveal overall.
Mm-hmm.
It was
The way they got to it, I did not like
Well,
at all. Where she heard her song being sung in a sea of streams.
In a sea of streams, yeah.
Zero chance in hell. That did not happen.
Yeah. The only
and then
thing
the eye of a child. Even when they replayed it back, I'm like, it just looks like a normal eye. It doesn't look like a kid eye to me. I don't.
Yeah,
And I know anime usually makes them distinct, and I didn't get that from Beast.
Yeah, I will also say the only thing that I would have preferred here is because Himuro is already established to be such a computer freak. There could have been a throwaway line how she's programmed something to just kind of search for something related to Belle.
Yeah.
Which would the computer will automatically just kind of focus in on that. That would have made more sense to me, and that's something with it because that would have helped the reveal make a little more sense, and it doesn't necessarily break anything about Himuro as a character or Belle as a character.
I probably would have complained about that being too convenient.
Well, you would have complained about the sun.
Well, you would have complained about it, but you couldn't disagree that there would be setup for that in Himuro's character having done that. Especially if
there's so much you can go with a tech character. Well, I think that's the level of absurdity. I thought it was absurd that we're assuming the Beast is a hacker or a tech guy to where he broke.
I'm gonna be honest. I never did. I just shrugged and I'm like, I don't know how he did all this, and I can assume this, but I have nothing to base this on.
He still could be. We don't know. It's not shown.
It's true.
I mean, I don't know. It's just level where it doesn't make sense. It's
The
like
stream was
hacking into Google. It's like, come on, I'm not gonna buy a teenager hacking Google.
Well, the stream was of Tomo's singing, and I guess I would presume with how the dad treats his two sons that that's the only means they have. So I think that was Tomo's time to use it. So when the Beast uses it, he can code and do all these things to you that he wants to do. So,
all right, I have an interesting question for you, Crimson. Would you prefer the example that I gave, which is, there's a line of dialogue to set up the fact that she, like the way that the computer would focus in on her, like something related to her, or would you prefer nothing, which is what we have?
Well, if you're just going to give me those two options, I'll go for the line, but I'm sure they could do better.
Oh, of course, but I'm saying like I said, I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm just saying that's still making it better. It's just it's a convenience, sure, that it's a that tech girl could do this, but it's still better than nothing.
I guess no argument in that regard.
No argument here, man.
Yeah.
No argument.
I think you should be careful. Where's the... Okay, so Beast Identity was the end of this act. I don't want to go further.
Yeah.
So we are focusing a lot on that. Do we want to talk about anything else?
How the crowd suffocates her when she shows herself.
That seems to be a running theme.
They make a new self-made dome.
Pretty much.
It's so weird.
I don't know how you works. I don't.
It's so weird.
I like
I can't picture a celebrity walking down in the street, which they do in real life, and then just getting tackled by a bunch of people.
Yeah, but remember, you're not going to get hurt, quote unquote, in you. So
that's true.
It doesn't matter if it's her. It's weird. There's only like 10 people touching her, I would imagine, at this point. Everybody else is hugging randos. What are they doing? They can't even see her.
Hey, group mosh pit hug.
They can't see her. What's the point?
It's
no
being
they're
able
going
to
hear her either because they're all, oh my god, it's Belle. What are they doing?
It's being able to say later, you can be like, I was a part of that. I was there that day.
I touched the person that touched Belle.
Yeah.
That's like crazy fandom stuff. That's like real. Yeah. I'm not saying it's greatly used in this. I'm just saying there is a level of that in real life. People can get crazy.
I just don't know why there'd be people past 3 layers.
Crimson over here would see Michael Emerson walking down the street and tackle him.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. No. I wouldn't even go up to him. I would just take a picture. But that's me. I'm not a crazy fan.
Is that true?
That's true.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have the stones to go up and say, can you sign my phone or something? Because I don't carry paper with me.
I
couldn't do that.
I guess one detail I do like is like the mom squad or the choir
Choir
squad.
Mom Squad.
Yeah, the choir squad. And how they all like uh
They're
Next to
in
each
you.
other.
yeah. Well, I mean, they all like they all message each other once they see the problem in you, which I don't know how they get a notification for that, but again,
Yeah,
more
Big
you
news.
world building problems. But
That is the smallest problem.
one
I
of
think
them.
it's way more believable than
Smallest.
all the other problems.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. Like I said, it's just another thing on the list, though. So,
From
but I do like the fact that the moms or the choir squad all want to go help Belle.
Yeah, they were in a FaceTime, I guess FaceTime meeting or Skype or whatever was being used. And the live stream article is Belle is caught in the crowd as the gathering masses scream out in anticipation of her song. And if they all know that Suzu is Belle, I guess that kind of helps.
Yeah, like I
Get
said,
them together?
I do like the character aspect of it. And like I'm not I don't, and like I said, I from the beginning I'm like I don't think the plot for this movie is particularly strong, but I do think all the characters are really good outside of Justin.
It's also weird that the moms are following. Okay, so this is the news coverage of what's being covered, but it's like in the realm of like IGN coverage, like video game media world coverage. It's
I like
weird that a
that.
group of moms would follow that, unless this coverage is supposed to be like new, like
Breaking
actual
news.
It's
breaking 12 o'clock news kind of segments.
well in this
That's
world.
also covered.
Well, in this world, everything's going through you because it's so big. So if it's a news segment
So
specifically
big.
like involving you, I'm imagining they would follow that. In this world, the whatever news operates within you is something that everyone would follow.
I mean, even for like YouTube, you get recommended stuff you're not interested in. It's probably somewhere in you.
I'm sure there's a
I guess
vein to
so.
it. Yeah.
There's also no advertisements in you though.
I was just about to say that. How does you get their money for the servers for 5 billion users?
I have no
Yeah, we
idea.
don't-
We know.
'cause, like,
well,
We,
these
the only hint that we have of sponsorship is for Justin, but I don't know how that.
We're touching the sponsors.
Yeah.
It's just words and images.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Outside of that,
And they are
there's nothing.
fast. Wow. Aren't there contracts? What?
Well,
how
yeah,
did he
'cause,
breach
like,
their
well,
contract?
Yeah,
'cause
I guess we're
even-
gonna go. I guess we're just gonna go right into the last act here. So
I was gonna say because even Himero, she's like in the beginning when they're setting everything up, like, oh, we're gonna make so much money off of this, and then they never go into how that would be
No, that's
possible.
true.
She
Oh, no.
donated it all.
No, they
to
said
Yeah,
they're-
we donated
they were
all
doing-
to like
yeah.
I know, yeah, but,
Yeah, but
they don't go into like where the money comes from or what generates the money.
ticket sales.
maybe they have subscribers and shit. I don't know.
Do the three of you think this movie would have been better if they added understanding of who made you and how that goes about?
I don't think we need to know
Not
who
how-
you. No, I don't think that helps. We just need to know more about you
Okay.
and how it works.
Okay, how the world works, not how it was created.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't. There could be an avenue where we don't need to know about the creators at all. I think the main issue for me is we don't know how you functions still. Like it's very unclear the rules of you if there are any.
Okay.
Yeah.
The-
all we
that-
really
Person
get
you-
is Justin's little bit, and the very beginning when they're talking about
The narration.
yeah, biometric information and all that other stuff.
Gotcha. And
Which,
Sinister, you
If
agree
they
with that?
added a whole bunch, it would have
yeah.
been really packed and not very good writing wise.
Mhm.
It's something, yeah. I
You
agree. I
is-
think if they made it more fleshed out, it probably would have just been. I don't know. It would have taken more precedence in the.
I will say
story than it would've needed.
Use you has more purpose as a MacGuffin.
You.
You is used as more of a MacGuffin in this story rather than an
Yeah.
actual world, which is a problem because it's integral for us to understand events in the story and when and where they're taking place and how. So you getting sidelined to being a MacGuffin is one of the many reasons why I have a lot of issues with like the world building and the plot, just because of how it's sidelined. Whereas in a better script, in a better film, this would have been ironed out. So at least we have a clear understanding of you at its most basic at its most basic functions. That way, we can see our characters navigate that world better,
Yeah, I think
more
something
clearly.
that well, yeah, something that we've touched on a lot here, which I wasn't sure, I didn't think would get this much this much video time, was that really it feels like the world itself doesn't really have a purpose beyond just kind of being something that could like that would make the likelihood of something like this happening a little bit more inevitable, I guess, if that makes any sense. And then they just didn't really kind of use it other than that to make it be like, oh, well, obviously the internet would be a good place for a shy person to become a not shy person, but beyond that, it doesn't do anything.
Could they have just done this as a school movie, you think? We had Beast beating up like hall monitors or something.
No, because we would then know the Beast's identity.
I mean, how integral? If we're doing a school setting, it would just be his story and not finding out who he is, right?
It would probably provide focus. But then there's the aspect that the writers really want to include that I actually like is Belle is trying to. Part of her journey would be lost then because she would have to be able to sing in the real world, like naturally.
I mean, yeah. I mean, we got school clubs. It could be a talent show. There's avenues where they could explore.
Yeah, there's avenues where they could explore that. I will say we will be lost on some of the better parts of Yu's visual splendor when it does get better.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
I'm just trying to see if they could make this movie without you in it.
I do. There's definitely a way they could. I'm not going to say there's no way they can't. Because as I said, the fact that Yu is here, it serves its role as more of a MacGuffin, and as we've discussed, that's a problem that's a little bit detrimental to the film. All right. We shall, I guess, move on. Since you don't like Shinobu Crimson, do you want to talk about his? I'm going to put it as his scene is encouraging Belle to sing.
Oh, okay. So we're doing final act now.
Well, yeah, we were gonna slide right into final act. Sorry.
Maybe to the end.
Yeah.
All right, final act.
The moms are here. That is.
Yes. The mother's here. Yeah. So his little speech to her, pushing her to reveal herself to the world, to help cross the bridge between her and Beast. I don't remember Beast's name, but I'll just say Beast anyways. I think was fine. I think it works. The way her friend acted, I don't know how I feel about that.
That's
because
kind of
she
funny.
had no confidence in her.
My friend, my friend and I, my other writing friend and I had a debate about her reaction here because my other friend actually really liked her reaction, and I asked why because I assumed she was being selfish, partially, like she didn't want to lose all the anonymity and like because she really relishes like being next to Belle when she's singing, like she loves doing she loves being her producer pretty much. We kind of had this back and forth. She said she really likes her friend in the scene because her friend is trying to protect Belle. Like she's trying to protect Suzu in the way that she knows what this is to her because this is her outlet that she's desperately needed. And so she doesn't want her friend to give that up immediately. She doesn't want her friend to lose that. and I agree that there's the facet of that she doesn't have much confidence in her, but I actually thought that it was portrayed well enough for her, and a more like she's just being protective of her friend. There's definitely room for interpretation though, which is why I actually really like their back and forth.
Yeah, there's layers to it.
Yeah.
And having Shinobu there, absolutely trusting her and believing in her 100%, really makes her friend not look very good in comparison. Because this whole movie, we've seen them buddy the whole time, helping each other out and everything. And we get Shinobu, who's kind of just been present, but now he's believing in her 100%, making her friend doubting her abilities to sing at this point kind of look worse in comparison. I guess indirectly.
Yeah, it does kind of harm that a little bit. I will agree.
Um,
Or it goes against what was already stated.
I do think it technically works. I just think it's kind of odd.
It's an issue. I don't think it. Yeah, it's not a terrible issue, but it's an issue nonetheless.
I don't know. I guess I don't see it as an issue.
Sprinks, what do you think?
What do you think?
What do you
You
think?
got everybody else thoughts on this part?
The issue on, I have lost the connection
Or
of.
non-issue.
I forgot the initial question of context of what's being discussed.
Well, we're talking about how her friend was perceived when Susu decided to reveal herself, and how what was his name? Shinobu.
Like their interaction over like
Yeah.
Shinobu wanting to argue that Belle should sing.
Oh, Shinobu was in the right. Her friend was being a jerk. I wrote down my notes. Is this being a good friend? No.
Okay. All right. Well, we got Sprinks' point.
Do you have anything important
No,
you want to
shoot.
say, Springs?
She was in it. I don't even understand. I guess she was in it for the fame, but it wasn't even her fame. And it's not for the money because it's all going to charity. So I don't really know her initial purpose. She just kind of told Suzu, do you really want to go back to a sad, bumbling, depressed teen? And that doesn't really change anything with being Belle. I mean, it's an outlook for her to be this other version of her in you, with the little amount of songs she's done, but also just exploring and talking to the beast. So it's not really that. It doesn't seem that big to Suzu, and it's more big to her friend because it's like this, as she said, a fun project, better than a video game to her. Doing all this, like I guess, designing, and if she's doing all the humpback whale stuff, like making all those, so it's a big project for her to work on. But I don't understand why. I guess it could just be the overacting or dramatic anime add-in that, oh no, if Suzu does this, I won't have anything to work on anymore. So it's being a little more selfish. But in you, if she already can do all that, then she can go with any other project or make herself big. So I totally thought this was her being a bad friend to Suzu, and Shinobi was correct. What is off, though, is that in order to do so, which I don't think Shinobu knew, is that Belle would have to get Justin to turn her in order for Shinobu's plan to go follow through. So that didn't really follow to me, because I don't think, as I said, Shinobu knew. He might know that Justin's the only one who can do such a thing, but he never stated you need to go find Justin to do so.
Yeah.
That brings
And
up
Justin
something.
was out
Do
of
they
the
need
dome.
Justin to do that?
I don't know. It was never stated you can convert your own of your own free will and choice. It is just said that Justin has the power to do it against your choice. But then again, Justin was out of the dome with his group and got impatient and flew in.
Yeah.
So nothing Belle or Shinobu or anyone out, the beast, no one did anything to make Justin follow through. It was just his own impatience.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough.
Answer the question? Is that good?
Yeah,
It does.
Okay.
It does.
We got a
did
good
it.
spectrum here.
I'm curious for Crimson, because when we first started Crimson, you said the animation of the 3D U world and then the over-detailed regular world with like the 2D was jarring to you and all. Did the 3D model of Suzu in the U world disturb you at all?
That was a compliment I was going to throw at the people who made this. I think it actually did work
Yeah.
I think they did a good job converting it to 3D.
I would agree. I actually do think they did a really good job with that.
It was well done with.
I mean,
Surprisingly.
this final U part was definitely the part they put the most effort in.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We kind of have
They
a
did.
climax.
They did take her eyeballs away.
That's an anime thing.
Yeah.
But sad characters, they take their eyes away while they look down.
Mhm.
At least with my experience, Ryder, you can.
I
totally
will.
call me out if I'm wrong
I
here.
will absolutely attest that that's exactly what anime does.
Okay.
Whoa! It all worked.
Also, something weird that I didn't notice until
Weird.
this scene. Yeah. Because of the shadow and everything. Does you have a day and light cycle? A day and night cycle?
Yes, it does. It's nighttime when the beast saves her from the justices. It does have a day and night cycle. What it is, I have no idea.
I guess they did say a time that they said, like, her concert was at 2025 U time. So it does have its own time, I suppose. Then. Yeah.
Just something
Not too focused on. But yeah, good observation. I guess in the final area, this is where the background characters in the U world really stood out to being less effort, especially with what was her name, Paige Sue or something? Peggy Sue.
Paige Sue.
Her being so smooth looking in this looked really good, and then you see all the others where they're like 2D assets, but they're getting stretched to move and appear 3D. Didn't look very great.
Mm-hmm.
There was one avatar that baffled me a little because there's some avatars that have like 4 eyeballs, and I feel like 2 of them are just cosmetic uses. Yeah, some have like 4 eyes. I think 2 are probably the cosmetic looks, and everyone's like different shapes, but they're all, relatively bipedal looking beings.
Yes.
There's one that is a 4-headed dandelion. I don't know how that would work. Is one head real and the other 3 are just
in the same way that there is a fish as a person? I don't understand why people spawn and how people get their initial cosmetics in this world.
Well,
and that's how you makes its money, by selling the skins.
There you go.
But there's no market in you. There's no advertising. All we have is sponsors for one character.
Yeah,
no, thank you.
Yeah, I can't explain any of these background characters.
Well, try. Go.
I guess I should ask, what did you guys think of the final song?
Well, I would not classify this as the final song, but
whoa, you saying the credit song is the final song?
That's what I would say is the final song. But I thought it was good. It was fun, especially the whole la la part.
La la la.
Well, I'll say this whole last part of you did raise my rating for this. I'll talk about that on our ratings section, but
this is when Crimson got emotional.
I did have 1 tear in it.
Wow, you actually cried from this? Wow.
A tear. That's not crying. It's tear. Yeah, it was good. They did good with the emotional hits there. The song was okay the first time, but when I went back again, I liked it more.
Yeah, it's definitely.
Don't know why.
Most of Belle's music, I think you benefit from listening to it again. Like I said, the only one I don't really re-listen to actively is the love song.
To the voice actor, I guess for the dub, when she was doing the la 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 and then started crying, that was the best voice acting in the whole movie right there. Very good.
Yeah, I think she does a good job in the sub too, right, Sinister?
Yeah, she does a pretty good job.
Because you feel you can feel the rawness in her throat for the English dub.
I'll have to hear the English one to compare them. But yeah, the sub one's not bad either, as far as I know.
Yeah, and we kind of tackled Justin here a little bit, but
just give him one more. Come on,
just hit him again. Do it.
there's one, like, it doesn't make much sense to him to enter the dome, but even if I give him that, why did he stick his arm out for her to grab? That didn't make much sense to me. Because she also held her hand out, so it was like he just handed his hand to her.
Yeah.
And this is during a whole performance, too, so it's kind of weird.
No, that's before her performance, I think, actually. Like
I mean, the dome was there.
Oh, wait. You mean for the people around them?
Yeah.
Yeah, the dome scatters.
Because they're waiting for a performance. She hasn't sung yet.
Yeah, they're waiting for a performance.
Still technically the performance.
Okay.
At least I'd classify that. Anyway, it's strange. Yeah. It's interesting that he caved in and did it anyways.
I got the impression that she's the one that did it.
How would she know how to use it? It's just.
I have no idea.
I have no idea.
And if we're talking like digital world, it would be through his mind, right? Not an external user. So that makes no sense if she's the one that does it.
Yeah. No. If he gives in, I mean, he just adds another layer as to why I don't think Justin's a very good character.
I don't know.
I mean, it's one thing he wanted to do, but.
Yeah, exactly. It's something he wanted to do, which brings up something I forgot to mention earlier at the castle. Why didn't he shoot her with it while she was looking at the dead AIs or whatever?
Oh, he's not smart.
He talks to her and walks away.
At that point, the only defense I have for that is at that point he wants to use her as bait for the beast, which then leads into them waiting for them outside the dome with all the people in it. So like they followed her.
You think his plan was for her to make a concert at that point?
No, I think they just planned to follow Belle and see if she in general would just go to either where the beast is or that she would draw him out. Why not
capture her again? Because this time there's no more AIs to rescue her, and even if that's the case, it doesn't make sense. I don't see it.
I see what Ryder's saying. I understand that a bit.
I guess I
think it makes less sense to let her go than to capture her.
Well, if she's not incognito anymore. So like in the previous times they did capture her. She's trying to avoid people. She's in quote unquote the worst disguise ever. But
yeah.
But at least
she's in the Belle disguise.
Yeah, but at least there's an attempt at that. So like, she stops trying to hide at that point, so everyone knows who she is. So them then trying to kidnap her again would be problematic for them. Though obviously that doesn't matter because they get publicly screwed over anyway.
At the time where she enters the castle, I might get the timeline wrong. The people didn't know she was there yet, right? It was when she left the castle is when she revealed herself?
Yes.
So him taking her wouldn't have affected public view then in that scenario.
Yeah, I won't defend that, so.
Okay. Stupid Justin.
Yeah, Justin being stupid.
Again.
Justin being a terrible character? What? No.
What? That could never have happened.
It's one of the only thing consistent about used world building is Justin being an idiot.
So why do you think his sponsors pull out? And presumably breaking contracts?
Because he's a bad dude?
Maybe it was okay. This is definitely me writing the script for them.
Go on.
They like yeah, I know. They like the threat of his laser, but him actually using it on someone who's very well liked, they didn't take a liking to that. So
why would they?
Well, I mean,
give it to him?
Assuming that you're someone that you're sponsoring as a party for your company did something publicly to like a singer in real life, I'm pretty sure you would cut your sponsorship off.
Yeah, I think that would be a good point to back away from that. Yeah.
You think they broke contract?
I don't. With him.
Yeah. There has to be some sort of contract agreement.
Probably if they don't deem it in their best interest anymore, they would. because companies break contract all the time if they whatever they're
They have
sponsoring.
a pull-out clause, you think?
If you're a good company, you'll have a pull-out clause. Yes.
Oh, the Justin's just stupid for signing it then.
Well, I think what Crimson here wants, he wants the legal epilogue of this that's 2 or 3 hours long that delves into all the
I don't know. The
ramifications.
sponsors didn't do anything in this movie. They didn't add anything.
Some would argue that was the point.
Yeah, so they didn't even need to do. They didn't do anything. I don't know why they were there. Because he said he got the ability, presumably from the people who created you, not the sponsors, during the interrogation scene. So it's not like they gave him the weapon or tool. It's the
Tool,
creators.
weapon tool.
I'm harping too much on it. Someone else.
Yeah, you're really just driving that point home, and it's fine, but you know, like, you got any other material? You got something else going on?
Okay, let's see. I obviously really like the last song. I have listened to it multiple times, and on Spotify. But I think one of my favorite parts of the song is when when the whale shows up, which again I'm just gonna assume that's Himuro in the background just working the computer.
Bawling her eyes out.
Yeah, that's exactly how I pictured it because that's the only way it makes sense, and it's an amusing image. But I like that when we pan around the whale, like you see Suzu, and then when you finish coming back around, she's back as Belle. I don't think it makes sense, but I still like it.
Yeah,
That didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, it makes no sense, but I still think it's aesthetically. I do enjoy it. I do like the idea behind it, in that she was who she wanted to be all along.
Someone else.
Yeah. Whatever.
Because she chose to put on her alter ego at the end.
Oh, I just assumed the alter ego just came back over her. I don't know. Again, this is more you world building problems. And then obviously, like Crimson, I do like the emotional flashback scene. So we see the image of. It's an image that we see. It's a picture that we do see earlier in the movie with all the choir ladies and their Suzu's mom, but it's brought to the forefront here for the emotional high. And I do like the parallel, like the realization as to why her mom chose to do what she did, and that she's doing something very similar now. Like it sunk in for her.
Yeah, it's something we never really talked about, and that's where, in the beginning, the mom sacrificed herself, and Suzu is like, afterwards, why would she do that for a total stranger, leaving me behind? But now she realizes why her mom does it, which was pretty good, I think.
Yeah. There's a good emotional arc there, where she could finally accept why her mom did what she did.
Mm-hmm.
And now she can open up with her dad and stop ignoring him, because he's been trying for years.
Yeah, it was like, oh, you anything? How you doing? Okay then.
You want to ride? No.
I like that the dad is.
Want dinner?
I ultimately like that the dad is giving her space, but he's still present enough to not necessarily nag her, but always ask after her.
It's been years. I feel bad for him.
Yeah.
He lost a wife and a daughter that day.
Do we have anything else about the last song sing? Before we move on to the
What's the yellow lights?
No idea. The image that
I wrote it down.
The only
it was one of the only things I wrote down in this final.
The yellow lights are the lanterns on the anniversary of the princess's birthday to bring her back to the castle.
I understood that reference.
Thank you.
Yeah. We see the lights only once in the movie, and I honestly only think it's there to set up this, which is Belle's crying outside the beast's room, and you can see the light forming out of her. So I assume it just means I took it. Obviously, the symbolism they're trying to evoke is like the whole waving your phone or waving your lighter and waving your candle at a concert. That's the image I think they're trying to evoke. I think this, for story purposes, I think it's just when someone's like pouring their heart into something.
Yeah.
That's the impression that I got of how it functions in you. But we know that Yu's not very consistent, so I'm willing for that to be batted down right now. If anyone's got,
yeah, I mean, I got the visual intent. I just didn't know practically how that was implemented.
yeah, like I think it's just someone for pouring their heart into something. That's why it shows up, or like they're very very emotionally afflicted.
And we also find out Peggy Sue is also a normal girl like her, not a real celebrity, I guess. Because we found out earlier that people were trying to find out who Belle was, and they were all theorizing she was a celebrity, which I would imagine they probably thought the same thing of Peggy. So we find out she's not a celebrity in real life.
And I actually like Peggy, and this is definitely. Not only because I listen to the VA's music, it's just it is a nice little, I think, touch to do with the side character that's barely there. So like you add a lot more to her character with what little she's in there. And her laws were the hardest laws that ever lawed.
Did do a hard law.
And I like the, I guess the choir ladies and canoe guy and
Haruka,
trumpet or saxophone. Yeah,
saxophone lady.
I call her. I called her by her actual name just because it was easy for me to remember. But I also in my notes I had her down as saxophone lady and popular girl.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the two archetypes they play.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was the choir ladies the first time I saw the scene.
Oh. Yeah, I like the details that they were all there also trying to sing along.
Yeah. Nice.
I'm done with this final song.
All right.
Final to some.
All right. I'm assuming same for you, Springs and Sinister as well, or if you got
all right. How did we feel about the abusive dad?
I guess we'll just go to the abusive dad.
Okay.
I was gonna say we should probably do the investigation scene first because I know.
Yeah.
I remember Crimson complaining about that earlier on, so I wanted to explore that a little more.
No, I was worried for a second there that we were finishing the act, and I was like, well, we just talked about the last song. We didn't talk about any of the stuff.
No. You're fine.
There's still like 15 minutes left.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, the way they found him.
Okay.
I didn't like. So, Sprinks, sounds like you got something for it.
Well, I loved it. It was great.
Them working as a whole group, figuring out where they tried to triangulate where the Beast and Tomu are, fine. Yeah, that actually worked fairly well. They were all helping each other. They all had a little bit of information. I think that worked well. It wasn't just something pulling out of thin air of this is information I know. It's actually hinted from beforehand, like with Kayak guy, and he's like, oh, I actually know that place. I've been there, and shows the image he's shown beforehand. So I like that it's already touched.
And then Haruka recognizes the music.
I'm feeling a big butt coming on here.
Yeah.
No, I like the scene. The thing I don't like is that they sent Suzu by herself. That's the butt.
Yeah.
They sent her by herself to go find a stranger's house.
Well, to go against an abusive dad.
Yeah.
That's also true. Everyone has seen what this dad has done. And they didn't go. I don't know why they didn't
go. You can take them on.
Yeah, I agree. The Suzu going by herself is what I don't like. I'm also kind of with Springs. Everyone had their own part to play. Even if at the end here, which I thought was important because otherwise I would have felt a lot of presence in their film would have been superfluous.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise,
it was way better to look. Kayak guy, just bringing up the fact that he knew the buildings and has been there before. Way better payout than freaking Taika Waititi and Lightyear with a pen.
Yep.
Okay. Done way better.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't like investigation scenes like these because there's one very similar in the show Castle where there's a hostage and there's just a little clip of proof of life, and they find his location because they heard a subway train tracks in the background. In the window, there's one little cutout where you can see a bridge, and they identify the bridge and find the angle. It's very similar to what they did here, and I just find it so dumb. Oh, they also do it in French.
Oh,
at some point.
interesting.
They also do it in Arrow.
Yeah, so I find them usually cheap because they're usually solved by complete convenience. Like what Sinister, was it you that said it was convenient he was in Japan, or was it?
That was what I said. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the
They
odds
talk to
of
these people throughout the world.
one person in this friend group knew where a building was that this guy lives by. Impossible.
Which is at least set up.
It's set up to an impossibility. Yeah.
I don't think it's impossible.
No, I don't think it's an impossibility.
No,
I'm not going to go that far.
That's dumb.
No, I find it more
No.
convenient. I find it more convenient that he's in Japan. Yes, but I'm okay with the group him having been there for his sport event. Like
Those
that's
aren't even unique towers. They this look like standard buildings.
I like how personal you're making. They
Because
weren't
it's
even
stupid.
unique. I know.
I've been to a bunch of sporting events when I did sports.
Oh, there he
And
goes. Bring up the sporting events again.
you did sports. Why is this the first time hearing this?
Just on
Right?
sports.
Yeah, Ryder brought up he had an event there, so he would know it. No, it's very slim that he would recognize those buildings that were in the background and nowhere relevant.
That were in the
To
back
the
of his selfie that he
actual
took
place.
with his team.
See, the selfie with
Yeah,
the
was-
team is far. No, I'm going with Ryan on this. The selfie in the photo he carries on him is far more connected to him that he's looked at multiple times than if he was just going down the river and it was two buildings in the way. Like it wasn't a meetup spot for like him and his kayak group to join or something. It was like where the photo was and he has. I think that's a stronger.
They're in the
Thing to
background
go with.
of the
Been-
photo with his people with his team. That's way better setup than
I've been on a vacation to Seattle, and I've taken pictures with buildings in them. I would not know those buildings if I just. Because,
Okay.
even if I
So
have it on
how
my camera.
how is
That
this?
sounds like you.
Yeah. So how is this?
Shut up.
Whoa. He's taking it.
This is a non-argument. It's not realistic at all.
Well, yours is a non-argument too. You just made a personal story that you have a
I'm making
problem
a
with it.
comparison.
He
Yeah,
doesn't
but
It
you-
doesn't make sense.
Crimson, you saying if you carried that photo on you or not?
Even if I have it on me, what's the difference of him having the phone or not?
He sees it daily. It's not like one photo that was taken that he doesn't
No,
see.
but what Crimson's saying though is like he would have to know
He doesn't- well-
exactly what that building was.
Yeah. Well, he has a special memory attached to this photo, as he's explained. So I don't. If
Well,
I
I think-
have a special memory
I have a
and
special
found
memory with Seattle with my friends.
Well, it also might be that when he's trying to get people to join in with the kayak club, he's alone and no one's with him. So this is kind of like his niche of people who actually joined with him. So I think it's a little more important to him in that regard. So you might cherish it a little
We're
more.
not going
think we've
to
reached a deadlock
let's move
here.
on to the radio
Yeah.
and weigh the odds that it was a relevant conversation to identify location.
The radio?
Yeah, because that's what the
this is.
Oh,
I will admit this is
Oh,
more
yeah.
thinner. This is more thin. I will give it that. The only thing that's going for this is just Haruka is just a music girl, and they just play up that as your character trait. And the way that they play up Tech Girl's character trait is almost their superpower. So I'm more in agreement with this one, on you, Crimson. That was a very, very far stretch. Could it be done? Yes, but the chances of her
Like a
knowing,
regular high school girl.
yeah, the chances of a regular high school girl knowing not her own city's radio broadcasts and their musical chimes, very, very not likely to happen.
What device?
And I think those are just the two they use.
Those are the main.
Roughly. Yeah,
Those
that's
two
the
are.
main two.
Yeah, those are the main two that they use. Yes.
Those are the two that actually have like evidence, or that.
Yeah.
Where you could, yeah.
I'll move forward a little to the part where Suzu's on the train texting her dad.
What did she say?
Well, just asking for advice of how to do things. But I think it may have been a little. I think it would have been nicer if it showed, not the two of them talking over the phone or anything, but if it showed where the dad was.
And he
or
got a
what the dad was
message.
doing.
Like he got the first
Yeah.
message and it showed him that.
Yeah,
Because it's just slow zoom in on Suzu the whole time with them talking. And it's not still because Suzu does start shedding one tear, much like Crimson. But I just think it would have been a little stronger if they actually showed the dad.
I think there only need to be one shot of the dad. I mean, I don't think it's necessary, but I think it would have strengthened the scene a little bit.
I don't think it needed a back and forth. That's not what I'm saying.
I think it's important enough that because you can definitely get the gist of it from all the scenes with them, that the relationship is fairly terse and not very close, or as close as it was. So I think there's enough there where you can find it believable that they it's a problem and that they need to bridge the gap or whatever kind of thing. But I think if they did any more than what they already did, it would have split the story too much, and it would have been kind of too much going on. They seem to focus on the main thing. So it would have been better if they showed the dad, but I don't think
I think the only if they were to do something with the dad, all they need to do is just show him getting the message and just his eyes widening, nothing else, and then we could just cut to zooming in on Suzu. Or I
don't know.
Like I said, we don't necessarily. I don't think we need that, but
we don't. Yeah, we don't need it. I don't see. It's a weird thing where I feel like if you go
too far in one way,
too small. If you go too small with it, it just kind of disrupts it. But if you go too big, it becomes its own whole thing. So I think they handled it fairly well. But it could have been better. Not gonna go against that.
Yeah, I think I would have liked it though. It was.
Okay. Yeah, I do like their. Okay. I do like the conversation. Okay. I do like the conversation because it's the first time we hear them really connect throughout the whole movie, because we know about the disconnect. So even though it's with all the distance between them, they're still reaffirming that they're family, and I'm a sucker for that kind of shit. So
as most of us are.
So, as I was saying, I think now we're at the abusive dad.
Yeah, now we're at abusive dad.
Yeah. Who wants to beat the shit out of this guy? Come on.
Well, yeah, a bit. Man, does he have some calluses on his fingers if he can tear skin like that? Oh, I don't think it was a nail.
I did. You know what? I mean, even with like the bruises on the guy, I did not expect it to be that violent. That was pretty freaking violent.
Yeah, usually people don't beat up strangers, especially kids.
That guy was a fucking.
It was pretty extreme, but fine, I guess.
Well, he was violent because he thought it was a guy, even if it's a kid.
Did he? I didn't get that.
I didn't get that at all.
I think because he didn't know who it was, and it could have been a male, that he continued like pulling the hair and the face. And when Suzu turned around to reveal that it was a girl, that's when he, was just screaming, holding his fist, because he didn't continue.
No, I got a completely different read of that.
Yeah, I did I. So
her looking at him with no care in the world was what tore him down. Is that he wasn't leaving an impact on her, because he rules by fear, kind of like what Justin.
Like a bully, yeah.
Yeah. So if you ignore your bully, they usually leave you alone, right? That's kind of at least
Generally,
methodology
yeah.
they
Unless
say
they're like
to do.
unless they're a psychopath or something. Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't give the bully satisfaction, most likely to the bully. So that's what I got out of it. I didn't get a boy girl vibe thing out of that.
What I like about it is, sorry, you first, Springs. It was your
No. I was going
Go.
up, like understanding that's the
okay.
person's point of view. Sorry.
Yeah, I really liked the use of color in this scene. We don't really see red in the real world a lot, but we do see it here, and I think it's very very striking. The cut on her cheek.
Mm-hmm.
Good visual.
So I got to point out something here. I know I'm going to be a bad guy here.
No, I know exactly. I know exactly. I know
Yeah,
exactly what you're about to point out, and trust me, I pointed out in my notes too.
I don't know if this is. I doubt it. So why isn't Susu interested in helping the dad? Because why doesn't she want to know why he's bad? Because she wanted to know why Beast was bad.
Because
obviously a joke.
Beast is a kid.
It's kind of. She didn't know that.
Well, that's true.
She didn't know anything about Beast except that he beat up people. That's all we know about the dad is he beats up his kids.
Well, one's the you.
One's beating up people
version.
in a digital world, so
Yeah.
that one has a lot more leeway.
You don't see someone in a Mark II oppressor in GTA and go, I should message him, see what's up. You know, he's on a destruction route. Let me see if I can do a slow dance number with this guy. No. But if you see someone in real life, you know, like this dad, I mean, it's the fact, I think she saw that knowing the you of what they're being shown of your personal being affects your, you know, in game, the fact that he has so many bruises, which means he probably has real life bruises of some manner, of some kind. You brought up that they could be physical. I thought they were just wording because when Beast is covering Tomo and the dad's talking to him, he's kind of like body shaking.
Yeah.
Like his back is arcing, which I thought was the bruises, the verbal bruises being put onto him. So seeing that as a connection to a you character would have been, you know, that's happening in real life. That's more care of a human being than just a choice made of like customize or, you know, making your character look like that. So I think that's a little more care. I don't know if the dad was put in you what he would look like. I think he would look like a tyrant.
He'd be a huge bully or something. Yeah.
I think he looked like Justin, but like red and on like raging.
Well, do you think
He
he
would
views
look-
himself as a bad guy? I don't think he does.
That's the thing. Like, yeah,
because that's what you does.
Yeah, most bad people don't view themselves as bad people. It's, you know, they assume that everybody else
is toughing up his weak kids.
Yeah.
So
yeah, yeah. That's the like.
I guess
so the
that's
whole reason
correct, yeah.
behind like the Beast looking like a beast is because he assumes it's his fault. Like it's he deserves it in some way, which is, you know, the really fucked up part about, you know, especially any sort of abuse whatsoever, is that usually, you know, the victim is made into the what they feel the abuser in some way, or, you know, the not the abuser, but like the inciter of, you know what I'm saying.
They feel it's their fault.
Yeah. So obviously, and that, you know, that creates, you know, a feedback loop of, you know, more bad behavior on, you know, future generations or other people, which is another reason why it's, you know, awful. But so that's, you know, that was kind of like, I think, an interesting thing that they used with the Beast character, is that they him sort of not, I guess, not really bullying, but because we didn't really know exactly what was going on, but him like going after like other people and being this sort of bad guy made more sense once you kind of figured out what was going on inside, or, you know, outside of the EU experience.
just to clear it up, I do not support abusive people. It was a joke.
No, yeah, no, nobody
This
here
is for audience.
Yeah,
for all of us, I think.
we if you or somebody you know is
I
being
support
abused,
the
please call
only
the hotline.
the only abuse that I support is consensual verbal abuse between friends.
God, you
Yes.
suck, Ryder. Jesus.
Yeah, I
Why would
hate
you say that?
I hate
Yeah,
you too,
that's
fuckhead.
awful. Oh, fucking hack. No, yeah, it's. I will say, for all the problems I think this movie has, or issues with the world building, and I don't think the story is that bad, or
Yeah.
the story in itself isn't that bad.
I
But
do, I do think the story pays off a lot of dividends for investment here at the end, for sure.
Does Japan actually have a law that prevents wellness checks within 48 hours?
You know, it's funny. I actually thought about looking that up.
Let's
There's
look
no
it
way
up.
that's real, right?
Let's see.
That's pretty absurd.
Japan.
Because it's not like a
wellness
missing
check.
persons report, and that's 24 hours is a missing persons report.
Yep,
Wellness
it's a real
check.
thing. Yep,
Wow.
it's a
What's
real
it
thing.
for the U.S.? Is there a time period?
I think
for
it's
a wellness
24
check?
hours. I think it's 24 hours. But let me double check. U.S. wellness check. I can't.
Because you would normally just call the police and they would just go check it out, right? And then, at least in the U.S.
Yeah, generally. Well, yeah, they check it out, but usually they can't do anything.
Yeah, their ability to do anything is very, very limited, unless like something's very, very obvious.
Yeah,
I can't find anything about the U.S., but yeah, in Japan it is 48 hours.
That's I wonder what the reasoning behind that is.
Yeah, I don't know.
Police in Japan say something along the lines of, if there's a problem between you and your parent, husband, wife, we cannot intervene.
They're very.
Oh, so it's a you problem.
They're very like. I mean this culturally speaking. The Asian communities are very, very like family oriented. Like it's always about honoring the family. Whereas here out west, it's very, very individualistic.
Yeah. I'm saying that it's not for legal reasons in Japan. It is more of a, as Ryder says, a honor.
It's more of a cultural thing.
Yeah.
So
I'm not surprised by that. That it's actually that law is actually real.
The more you know.
Yeah. Do we have anything else about the standoff scene here, or
what do you think was Zoo's plan?
Yeah, it did seem like she kind of threw it together in the last minute there, didn't it?
Also convenient that the boy came out and found her.
Yep.
That is true. That they were out and about.
Yeah. I mean, again, that could have been fixed by like a message board or a messaging system, but they don't do anything. So I just have to write it down as convenience.
Yeah, if there was a messaging system, they could have just messaged her their address. Which I would have preferred to this whole investigation bit.
I was thinking she was just looking from the perspective of the towers or the buildings to see where the window could be. Find the house that way.
No, no. That would have been even worse, I think. Especially,
I think she was looking for the house, not the. Well, she's looking for the people, but she's going off of the knowledge of where the house would be. So
they said the search area was. It was a pretty large search area, wasn't it? It was like 2 blocks or something.
Yeah, so I assume so she could have just running around the 2 blocks, and that would have been.
Sprix, you have it up right now.
Wait, look it up.
The movie?
Yeah, I know you do that sometimes. Are you able to look at the investigation scene and see how large the search area was? I know they mentioned it.
I could, but it would take me a while.
Okay, never
talk
mind.
about other stuff while you do.
I think we should just
let's see.
All right, skip it past.
I do have to be somewhere in 40 minutes, so.
Okay. Okay. I guess one more thing. So how did that solve the problem? Why would the dad stop beating on his kids now? Because I don't. She didn't bring them with her.
That's true.
That's true.
I don't know
where they went. We can stand up to our father now.
This is another one of my problems with the movie. As I agree with Crimson. I don't know what it solved. other than they are more emotionally charged to deal with their dad's bullshit. Like they're more willing to deal with it, which is one facet. But I don't see anything tangible that's helps them.
I would hope that at this point they exchanged numbers
And-
and got each other's messages.
Beast just kills him. Gets the rest of the movie over.
Shit.
Wow.
Smiley, Kristen, you were on some parts where you say it's impossible. That's not impossible. That could be a one side of this.
Oh, it definitely could be.
We
He
do
looked like
not
he was
know.
on the edge already.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I have the same thing down in my notes. Not sure what this accomplishes. Outside of being very, very emotionally resonant, I don't know tangibly what this accomplishes.
It's yeah.
I get the movies about Suzu, so they're not necessarily the main character, but I still, because of the investment that the story has decided to put into them, I wanted to know how they ended up.
I obviously
Well,
agree.
ask for a sequel.
I mean,
I don't
this
know what a sequel
movie
would
is
bring.
recently kind of new, so there's a possibility.
It's true. There could. I don't know. I don't.
I don't think
Yeah.
it'd be smart to make a sequel.
Well, because she kind of conquers all her issues in this one. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can see an avenue where a sequel would work, but I don't know if I want them to, because I think it ends on a good note for Suzu.
Mm-hmm.
With as you say, with her having dealt with all her issues, and then so I guess if we're done with the
now she's actually her dad's daughter now. So
yeah.
So they look at the clouds. That movie fades.
Look at the clouds.
Hold
Yeah.
on. We have to talk
Right,
about them
Spence?
avoiding cliches.
Yes, now we get the final song.
Avoiding cliches.
Yeah, I was very worried that Shinobu and
Oh.
Suzu were going to.
I'll be a couple or something.
Yeah,
Well,
and while it's implied that
It's
they're
definitely
going,
open.
while it's implied they're going in that direction, I'm happy they didn't actually commit to that, because I don't think
Yeah.
the story itself did the groundwork to commit to that at the end. But I like that she and her dad have the back and forth, and he's like, questions are like, so dinner, and
What happened to your face?
What happened to your face? Oh, go down some stairs.
Those choir ladies get really wild during Christmas.
Dude, they don't fuck around, man.
Yeah,
that would be a weird. I stopped an abusive father from abusing his two sons.
Oh, that's where you went. Okay, good job.
I don't think you just showing up there fixes the whole issue, but thank you for doing it.
Like I said, I do like the emotional resonance of the scene. It's still a little off.
There's issues with it, but I think the overall message wins out.
Yeah.
Regardless, yeah. So
I can agree with that.
Yeah.
So I like we have a brief moment of her reconnecting with her dad, and then all her friends and choir moms are there to greet her as well.
That's nice.
It's nice. Very, very. For what is a very, very dark story, I do think that the kind of the happy ending here for Suzu is earned.
Yeah.
Which is the hallmark of, I think you're doing something right with your story, if that's where if I am thinking that. So
yeah.
Is she gonna be a real world celebrity now?
We don't know.
We don't know.
It's an interesting thing.
That is the problem for a sequel.
They do not tie up loose ends.
Yeah. And with that, shall we move to summaries and ratings?
Yeah. Actually, there was it Practical Magic where you brought up in the credits there was something you want to talk about? Was that the three things before the cast?
Oh, that's what I said. Was
that Practical Magic? Okay.
Yeah.
So I have something to touch on in the credits. which is the song choice, which was brought up beforehand, but I got more of it throughout the credits. I think it goes through the whole song. There are parts of it where the notes are very similar and very close to Tale as Old as Time from Beauty and the Beast.
Well,
Oh.
this one's a million miles away, or that's the name of the song.
Oh, I wrote down "Come Back to Me." I didn't know the name of it.
Yeah,
I wrote down something else.
yeah. I do. Like I said, I think I thought the credit song is the same one that she sings in
is.
the last act. Yeah. So I don't. I don't know. Okay.
I guess one thing I forgot to mention was
God damn it!
I know in the road with the abusive dad, the La 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 melody is on in the background before he shows up.
Yeah.
They just
Yeah,
talk
yeah.
amongst each other. It's one of those rare times I caught the music. All right, I'm done.
Yeah. Like I said, I do like the.
Thank you for that. Thank you so much.
I do like the music in this movie a lot. Obviously.
Good.
Do you have any final thoughts, Sinister, before we move on to summaries and ratings?
I guess yeah, I'll just say again. I think with the exception of some of maybe not there's some loose ends that didn't really get tied up that maybe for the sake of legal reasons probably should have been. I like the ending of this. I think it fits the characters. It's I think it fits. That's all I got.
Alrighty, then I guess I'm going to we'll do popcorns again for summaries and ratings. So I will popcorn to you first, Springs.
Oh shoot! Me first on
Yeah.
summaries.
Oh, he doesn't know what to do now.
It's so rare.
Summaries and ratings.
Oh, summaries and ratings. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Back everybody.
Yeah, this is my first time ever seeing this movie. I am quite a Beauty and the Beast fan. I did not know this movie was going to be Beauty and the Beast at all.
I didn't think I would have to explain that. I feel that the symbolism and parallels would be overt enough for everyone here to pick up.
Oh, it came across loud and clear when we
this
got
was
to the
Cinderella.
castle with Beast. Yeah. But going into it, I mean, I didn't know it was a take on Beauty and the Beast or have anything
Yeah.
connected to it. So I really like, because Beauty and the Beast, I think, is my favorite Disney princess movie or story. Anyway, I thought it was pretty good. I like the characters. I like the difference between, opposed to Crimson, I did like the differences between the animation style of what was happening in You and what was happening in real life. I didn't necessarily think it was that jarring. I think the first instance of Suzu coming out of the covers was probably the most jarring, because that's the first flip. But other than that, it was easy for me to understand the back and forth. The whole world of You, pretty messy. The whole world of Japan, pretty good, pretty consistent. A lot of loose ends at the end, kind of thing. There were some good jokes. I don't really think there's any deadpan stuff. I think the what was it? The love, the crush thing was a little lengthy, but other than that, I don't think there was any real just dead scene. I don't think there's any scene in it that needed to be taken out. Maybe, actually, let me rephrase that. I think the only thing that maybe needed to be shortened or taken out was the whole story with like the artist and who the Beast could be, which is stuff they touched on a little more than needed, but it's still understandable as to why, because it was just giving you red herrings. Yeah, overall, well, for my subjective, I quite enjoyed this movie. I definitely would see it again. I'm giving it an 8. But as I said, there are things. The main reason to me, which I kind of wanted to know from the beginning, was if it was classified as a musical. Because coming out of this movie, there is not a song I remember after watching it. Which to me for a musical is a bit failure. But it's not classified as a musical, so I don't really hold it over it that much. But still, the songs didn't really earworm me or catch with me, which is what Ryder kind of said with Greatest Showman. But yeah, I just didn't really connect to me. So, but still, it was an enjoyable movie. I like the story. It was Beauty and the Beast meets Sword Art Online kind of thing. So it was cool. Objectively, my score has gone down 1.5 from where I started because of what was being discussed here. So the world of you, what a mess.
Yeah, yeah.
The antagonist being, it kind of changed because Beast isn't necessarily an antagonist at all, really. He's not really against, but you have, I guess, Slight Beast, you have Justin, and then you have the Beast's dad. So it's a lot, but they're not thorough. It jumps from one to the next, almost like of its own third acting thing, which didn't feel well to me. That was a bit jarring because it felt kind of like almost new stories or new plots to go with, and it didn't feel very smooth. I think Shinobi was fine, even though he kept teleporting everywhere, which was weird. Kayak Chad, pretty funny. He was fine. Zuzu was great. The people, the baseball guy, pretty much just like all the characters were fine. They stuck to what they were doing. I liked it. I think they knew what they were going with the story, and I don't think the Beauty and the Beast stuff really felt off at all. They did. I did like some shot for shot like looks that were taken right from the original Beauty and the Beast movie, the anime movie, which was true inspiration. But the story didn't. It didn't feel off. It didn't feel mixed in there. I know Beast wasn't introduced till the Death Star concert, which was later, but to me it still didn't feel weird. But the whole, as I said, the whole talk of like how the world U works and Justin's motives and how sponsors and advertising, just how that all works, it all does drop my rating. So objectively, I'm giving it a 7.
So it was originally 8.5.
It was originally 8.5. Because to me, at my first viewing, there was only a couple of things that were a bit off that I didn't like about it, but still to me fit very well. Another thing was the coloring that I really liked. How the world wasn't all grays or anything, but you had very simplistic colors. Like the trees were just green. You didn't have a lot of different shadings or colorings in them, and pathways were just kind of one or two colors in the real world and everything. But everything in you was very vibrant and bright, and it was just to contradict the two, and I thought that was nicely a good balance, especially the things in the castle, because the castle seemed dark, but it still had a lot of color to it.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
So with this, I get the power of choice, and I'm gonna push it on over to. Let's go to Sinister.
All right. Yeah, this was again. Not again. This was my first time watching it as well. I am not the biggest anime watcher in the group. Probably, I'm probably the least, I might say. But I was surprised by how much I actually got into this, and how kind of, I guess how much aesthetically I was in it that I like normally, because I'm a big music fan. There's music in here, and I like the whole. I like the idea of the virtual. I was worried it was going to get a little bit too much like Ready Player One, and in fact, it probably might have been helped a little bit by being a little bit more like Ready Player One, where they actually went into the world building of how everything was set up in some way. But I'm not gonna. We talked on that enough.
Yeah.
So. I think I was surprised by how, I guess, dark it got, and I think how well they sort of handled that, especially given that you can kind of, with that kind of stuff, you can really go too far and have it sort of alienate, as well as you cannot go far enough and have it just be just not have any impact whatsoever. So I think they, with the exception of some of the legal stuff they didn't really tackle with the ending, I think they did about as good of a job as you can do. Originally I had this at a 7, but with all the U problems, which I would be willing to not have affect the score, but because of how prevalent U is to most of the story, I'm gonna have to bump it down to a 6.
And you're popcorning too?
I am popcorning to you, Ryder.
All right. I'll give my subjective one first. This is, as I said, I've seen this movie several times. I listen to the music regularly. It's kind of one of the main reasons I actually was interested in what Sinister would think, because he's our resident musician. So, subjectively, this was an easy. I really had a good time in this movie. It's an easy 9 for me. I really loved a lot of the concepts that go into this movie. I really love. It's also, I guess, a mark of what I do value in my storytelling as well. Because I do think the character work is great. Outside of the one obvious person that's not great, which is Justin. But I have a soft spot for emotional singing, I guess, or songs that come from the heart. And I also have a soft spot with someone who's struggling with their artistic outlet, because of the grief that they have in their own life. And I think the themes really resonated with me in that regard, from the movie. So yeah, easy 9 out of 10 subjective for me. Objectively, my rating hasn't changed all that much from where when I initially gave my rating in the our episode 0 podcast. It's still a 6. I think the world building for you is horrible. I think the plot is disjointed, though functional. But I think this is an example of what I value in storytelling, in general. And this is what I use as an example to people of how character work can carry a messy movie through to the finish line. Because I think all the characters are solid, even the side characters. They may not have very, very like in-depth arcs or very in long-lasting. They may not have very long-lasting effects on the story, but you understand where they're coming from by the end. So when they are all together and they interact together, there is enough background to them for you to buy where they're coming from, and you understand at least their perspective, which is what you need for a character focused story on specifically Suzu. Because I feel if they tried to expand the others, it might have gotten out of hand because it would have turned more into an ensemble film. So I think as minor characters, they all do a great job. I obviously love Belle, the main protagonist, Suzu. She's a very endearing character from the beginning to the end. Just in the way that she has a not naive approach to the world, but more she's been scarred by the world, and she's just trying to kind of relearn her place in it and adjust. And then when the Beast as a character, I do think the payoff for his character is what makes everything else worth it, because otherwise I think it does fall into plot issues where they've made a choice to portray this character in a certain way. So yeah, I'm still at a solid 6 for my objective on this movie, and I will popcorn to Crimson last.
Oh, me? I thought you were going to pick someone else.
I know. Of all the people in all the world, I've chosen you.
You could have picked Craig. I mean, come on.
Yeah. We're not supposed to talk about Craig.
We don't talk about Craig on the podcast.
Who's Craig? Yeah, I'll start with my subjective on this one. So, as I said earlier, it did change because of the whole La 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 song bit, that whole final section there. Because originally I was going to compare it to Men in regards to where I liked the beginning, but was not liking anything past that. for the most part, but it did boost it. I originally was going to give it a 5 subjectively, so a movie I probably wouldn't watch again. But it's gone up to a 6.5 now, just because the final act made it good in my eyes, instead of just an average meh. I was going to describe this writer as one of his fails for anime introducing. Writer's been trying to get me through a lot of animes, and so far he's been hitting everyone.
Yeah, to be fair, I consider this a fairly average movie overall. Yeah. So,
yeah, so I was going to be a little sad telling him it was a 5, but I think 6.5 is all right. It's something I could probably see again. I might listen to one of the songs again.
Oh, you need a soundtrack. I'll get right on that, sir.
It was enjoyable in that sense. I did like the Beast payoff, but I did not like the build up. I didn't like really anything in the U except the ending bit. It all just weighed down on me, all the questions of how it worked. Not much was enjoyable within it to me, because the Sphere concert, the first one where it got interrupted, was very underwhelming, because I was wanting an actual song and not just instrumental. Not that instrumentals can't be real music, but it was a vocal performance is what was supposed to be there. Anyways, 6.5. Objective. This one was kind of tough for me, because it felt awfully paced, and the U part was such a huge part. It's pretty 50-50 in this, and it's the biggest issue with this movie. So half the movie is not very good, I think, objectively. There's some parts subjectively, of course, obviously. Can't take that into account. So I feel like a 5 is pretty good, because I liked what Frank was pointing out with the antagonists, where Justin was a joke. He was not a good antagonist or villain in any way, any definition. I don't know anyone who would like him as a bad guy, other than just laughing at how bad he is, which was not the intention of that character. I don't think he was supposed to be a joke. Beast, I was not intrigued by him in You. Human him was awesome. I liked. I liked his little help speech and everything.
Yeah,
that was very good. So everything outside of you was pretty darn good. I think several of these side characters, though, if they got removed from the movie, nothing would change. The only thing that they were integral with anything is the investigation part at the end, and even that wasn't necessary. The Beast could have just said his address, and boom, problem solved. They didn't have to be there. I think it was just there so the side characters could actually have relevance. Because if you removed Kayak Guy and Saxophone Girl, nothing really changed. They didn't really impact Suzu as the main character, really. Suzu just had someone to talk to about her crush, which could have easily been her tech friend. So I think there were some irrelevant characters in this. So I think 5 is fair. Done.
Well, all right.
all right.
And I guess for the English dub.
Someone ring the bells.
Somebody. Ding, 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 ding.
It's over.
Yeah, we made it.
Right?
We did it.
What? Thank you. I'm happy you enjoyed it.
I thought, and here
Yeah,
I thought I was
mix.
gonna have the. Here I thought I was gonna have the weirdest pick.
Yeah. I picked
Some could argue you still.
I purposely picked a movie that I thought was fairly average, and this because I'm in agreement with Crimson. I like half the stuff in here, and I don't like half the stuff in here. So I just was curious to how all you would kind of fall on this in this movie.
Did I rate it what you thought I would?
Yep, actually you did. Nailed it right on the head.
Wow.
I thought you were gonna rate it in 7.5 initially, Springs. So I got fairly close.
Close enough.
Yeah.
Close enough.
So I got pretty close. The only one I wasn't sure was Sinister, because you're the music man, so I was not sure how you were gonna take the music of this film, and that's one of the reasons I picked it. Because
yeah, I will say none of the music except for like the first song, the parade song or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Didn't really stick out to me, but I liked that they actually had like kind of like they had garage band in it and stuff, and there was actually like the music actually was like a part of it, regardless of how much I liked the music. It was still
incorporated into the story.
Yeah, and I thought it fit. So
yeah. So I guess we shall wrap it up here. As always, you can follow us on any number of platforms: Google Podcasts, Amazon, Overcast, Castbox, Pocket Casts.
We're everywhere, baby.
Yeah, Spotify and Anchor, and we're also on Samsung.
Right now.
Yeah, whatever you're listening to us right now. We're also on Samsung. Yeah. And as always, I've been a geeky writer.
I'm Chris Ryan.
I've been a character called Sinister Boy.
And I'm Sprinks.
And we will catch you next season. See you later, everybody.
Next season? Whoa!
The big project left.
Oh, right. Never mind. Ignore me. All right. Bye, everybody.
Toodaloo.
Bye.